The next card.
All right.
I-
This next card's sweet.
I put it in there just for Keller. So
I actually like this card a lot too. So speaking of demonic rituals, Priest of the Blood Right. 3 colorless black for a human
Oh,
cleric.
that's how you do it.
yeah. See, just look at the picture. He's a 2/2. So 5 mana 2/2. That's not very
this is
interesting.
the picture on howto.com.
This is what that Angel Fire website has on it. Oh, okay.
Oh man.
So 5 mana 2/2. Not that great. It does have an enters battlefield trigger though. Enters battlefield. Put 5/5 black demon creature token with flying onto the battlefield. And it also has at the beginning of your upkeep, you lose 2 life. This card's awesome. I really like this card.
Beyond Kithian, I think this is probably a slam dunk in my cube, and I don't really hear that many people talking about it for cube, but I really like this card in cube. You can
Well, yeah, obviously. Like, Cube, it seems so much fun. Like, you have flicker effects and things like that.
I still think it might be okay for standard, but we can get that in a second.
Right.
But yeah, like you said, flicker effects, sacrifice effects, you can bring it back. You can play Recurring Nightmare.
Oh, God.
God.
Why?
Wow.
A bunch of demons, and
I'm on board. I was wavering. I'm
In.
sold.
Dave didn't point out that you only lose 2 life no matter how many demons you have. The trigger is on the cleric and not on the demons.
Demons,
themselves.
yeah.
Yeah, I really like that. So like, I like it for the fact that like you can play this, and then if your plan is to like race with your demon in the air, you can just chump block their guy on the ground. You're like, oh whatever, I'm not going to take 2 now, and you wouldn't take damage until your next turn anyway. So you can play this, and then they like, are they going to attack, or are you going to moat them? Like, are they just going to not attack because they want this thing to stay alive?
Well, it's hard for them to attack. Anyways, you still also have a demon.
fine.
Right, yeah, but like,
I
but
love-
even if you're attacking with the demon, you just leave this back. They're like,
Yeah.
all right, like I can lose 2 life a turn instead of, however much else it will be. So
I love the flavor on this so much because like the demon's like, oh yeah, I'll give you something and you release me at full power. Oh, I'm sorry. I'm sorry. There's something bad for you out of it, but I'm here, so we're all good. Now, I think this card is like, I mean, you said for like constructed, I don't know. It is 7 power for 5 mana, which is relevant.
Right, and for constructed, I don't think this isn't anything you build around. I think this is just something that goes into an Abzan or a Jund grindy deck, and I think it's probably good against green-red dragons. It blocks most of their dragons. I mean, Stormbright Dragon gets bigger at
Right.
7, but,
So, Rescue for the Underworld, is that still a card?
Yeah. Yeah. It
That's
is.
still a thing in Standard, right?
Oh,
Yeah.
man.
Oh,
Yeah, I played against that card.
all of these 5 drops. But
let's do it.
I like it.
I mean, definitely like sometimes 2-for-1s are hard to come by in standard, and this is definitely 2-for-1. So
Also, we play it with an Antuco Husk. Just get rid of
it's
him.
true.
Get outta
Just
here.
sack it out of here.
Yeah.
All right, next card. Quickly read the bones. 2 colors and a black. Sorcery. Scry 2. Then draw 2 cards. You lose 2 life. This is. I mentioned this only because it was just printed. Like you should be like, oh yeah, this is like, oh what Theros? Oh, okay, cool. Except for now, it's in the core set. So like you'll probably still see Sign in Blood, but I think it's cool that they're saying like this is what we want black to do when it draws cards. Like you're gonna lose life, but you'll get to scry a little bit too. And you see how they use like flavorfully how black uses scry differently than other colors use scry. Like you got the bones and like the cauldron and everything. Like oh yeah, we're doing some preordaining, but people had to die for it, so it's okay. But I think it's cool to see like when scry became like an evergreen mechanic. This is the kind of card I hoped would be like reprinted multiple times. So I'm glad to still see it.
Yeah. I like to read the bones.
Yeah. Glad it's going to be around for a bit longer than just, Theros. So,
And ostensibly, I mean, again, could be around for a while, like something that gets reprinted a lot.
yeah. I'm fine with that, too. All right, next up.
Dave, last card in black.
Last card in black is Reeve Soul. So it's a colorless black sorcery. Destroy target creature with power 3 or less. Kill target Courser of Crewfix.
I mean, I think we discussed defeat being close to playable, and this card is obviously strictly better than defeat. This is where removal's gone, but this is a 2-drop piece removal that deals with early drops out of the aggressive decks.
I like it. I think we should at least mention Undead Servant. Out of all the, I guess, gotta catch 'em all cards, this one seems like the
Sure.
one that could most see constructed play if it does anything.
And you're putting in this in your cube with the Squadron Hawk rule, right? You draft
No.
this, you get 2 more.
God, I
No.
wish.
Why?
Black has enough things to do with the graveyard. It doesn't need help. But Undead Servant, what it does, I'll actually say what it does. So it's a 3 colorless and a black zombie. It's a 3/2. When it enters the battlefield, put a 2/2 black zombie creature token onto the battlefield for each card named Undead Servant in your graveyard. So this thing can get pretty disgusting. You get a couple of them in your graveyard.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know. Like, I'm just saying, out of all those, I think this is the best one.
No,
And
I mean,
think
like-
it could be abusable.
Like if you're putting this, if you're dumping, like let's say, I don't think it's that far off from constructed.
Yeah.
Like if you're dumping a bunch in your graveyard of Saturn Wayfinders and you're playing that grindy black green deck with like Death Mist Raptors and I'll play this 4-drop. Oh, but I also get 2 more tokens, and you're like, oh, okay, cool. Yeah, it seems. I think it's close.
Yeah.
Can I tell you how much I love the art on this? Like that's definitely a magical shovel. I want you to understand that is a magical shovel.
Yeah, it's got runes and stuff on it.
Like I always want to know how I bring things back to life. Oh, magic shovel! I didn't know.
So Jace's cloak isn't magical, from what I heard from
Shovel
last
is.
week. But Liliana has a magical shovel. She just walks around.
Can we get the magical shovel in the next set? Oh wait, Liliana's not. Never
I
mind.
definitely want to like picture now like Liliana just like walking around a graveyard with a shovel whistling like I've been working on the railroad.
The gravedigger from Zelda.
You got a razor? You got a bottle? Or a heart piece? One of the two. And a hook shot. Man, all these great things. All right, let's move to red.
Well, what do we think about black?
Overall,
Yeah.
it's a color.
I mean, in Magic Origins,
Very dark.
constructed wise.
I think it's fairly interesting. Definitely kind of like blue. Got a couple engine pieces and definitely has some cards that are pushing devotion back. I think it is more powerful than blue as a color, but
Yeah. I think that, something like Languish, like that getting in there and just like coming out and being like, it's a playable card. Like everyone knows that's a playable card. And they don't have to be like, well, where does this go? There's places where it goes and it's playable. I don't think blue necessarily had that.
sure.
Yeah, black definitely like wins the set for most cards that we're not sure if they're going to see constructed play or not. Like just looking at like Demonic Pact, Erebos' Titan, cards, Liliana even. I mean, these are all cards that it's like these could be really good or maybe not.
Yeah,
But
it's for sure.
I think it's probably the hardest color to evaluate overall.
I do think it's sort of awkward. There's no sort of like slam dunk removal spell, and I mean slam dunk is like compare that to like ultimate price. We call ultimate price like a slam dunk removal spell. Like it doesn't kill everything, but it's nice to see it. You know what I mean? Like Reeve Soul's the best we have here. So, yeah, it's in a weird place. Removal's in a weird place, but let's continue to red then.
Yeah.
Fiery things. Okay, so let's start with Abbot of Carol Keep. This is 1 and a red for a creature human monk. 2/1. He has prowess, which I thought was renowned. I'm going to tell you right now, I thought this was renowned when I first read this card. Definitely prowess. When Abbot of Carol Keep enters the battlefield, exile the top card of your library. Until end of turn, you may play that card. I know Patrick Chapin's really high on this card, and it's definitely a solid 2-drop. It's an awkward spot as a 2-drop because, like, as a 2-drop, like a 2/1 with prowess is fine. We've seen Seeker of the Way do some work. Obviously, Seeker of the Way is objectively better than this, but this has a lot of like upside the later you play it. So like it's one of those cool draws for a red deck where like on turn 2 you'd probably still just slam this card and attack with it, but on turn 4 or 5 you draw this card. Well, hopefully you're getting 2 spells out of it, and I think that's really cool.
Yeah, this is the card this is like what Irish Shaman wanted to be.
Yeah,
Because like you like playing this on turn 2, you probably feel pretty bad. You're probably gonna flip over something, and you're like, whatever. You hope it's a land. You play it on turn 3, you flip it over. You hope it's a land because you can play that land then, and then like anytime after that, like you're probably just gonna be able to play whatever happens. So I think it works out.
I feel the same way about this as I felt about Irish Shaman. I kind of want to see one of these style of cards be good before I believe it.
beyond Chandra.
Yeah,
She's teaching everyone how to do this, but though I guess this would actually argue that Jaya was teaching everyone how to do this. Just throwing it out there because like Carol Keep and they teach Chandra and Jaya. One day you'll planeswalk for us. I do think objectively I still like Irish Shaman better. I think this card would immediately see more play. But like as a 2-drop, I think Irish Shaman's still better than Abbott, just because like Irish Shaman is like more likely to get an attack through than this guy is.
You've played Secret of the Way. No one blocks that card.
well,
Secret of the Way
It
has-
actually has
But
a
Secret of the Way
level.
has 2 toughness though too, so
Yeah.
it's a big deal.
Sure.
It really
No,
is
no, no.
because like Seer Awaken one spell like stalemate with a Courser. This cannot, but Ire Shaman can still attack through a Courser. And Ire Shaman is as a Megamorph, you get to decide when you you can still play it on turn 3 and then decide when you're going to use its trigger, which Abbott is really time dependent. Like there are going to be times where Abbott's going to be a great draw for the red deck, where it's like boom, get 2 spells in a turn, here we are, and instead every time you play it on turn 2 and you don't have a better 2-drop in your hand, you're going to go, ugh, I wish I had anything else. So. Anything else to add there, Dave?
Nope.
All right. Next card then.
Avaricious Dragon is a 2-colorless red for a 4/4 flyer, obviously a dragon. At the beginning of your draw step, draw an additional card. That's pretty good.
Yeah, I'm a fan.
At the beginning of your end step, or at your end step.
Ding.
All right. Discard your hand. That's bad.
That's bad.
This guy's on the bench of the Pro Tour. Listen to that.
No, I'm actually
evaluation.
I actually quite like this card. The only awkward thing about it is it's going to be fighting for space with Thundermaw.
Actual airspace.
Thunderbreak Regent.
Thunderbreak Regent. Sorry, I haven't played Standard in a long time. Thunderbreak Regent. It takes the same spot on the curve. Now you may see this in more aggressive red decks where this may be the top end. You try to empty your hand, then you play this, and then you can take advantage of the drawing. But it's definitely good. We'll just see if it actually fits into the format.
All right, so I played with this card at the pre-release. I expected it to be good, and then multiple times, every game I casted, it actually just won the game by itself. I casted at one point and discarded 2 really solid removal spells, but they were reactive, and I was an aggressive deck, so I was just like, you know what? Get out of here, Celestial Flare, and just won the game because of it.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think anybody would argue that this card is good in limited. But yeah, I mean,
Well,
you will have those awkward situations.
No, but I'm saying for standard applications too, like you hope that's how it fills out. And honestly, its body is still in a pretty good position where it can't be roasted. Lightning Strike doesn't get it. Downfall does, but if you're an aggressive deck, this is the top of your curve. Then hopefully you have other creatures that are still attacking.
Yeah, Downfall is not going to be that good against you anyway.
Right.
But.
So I think this card has a chance to be very, very good, and a chance to not see play ever once. And that's,
Yeah.
I feel like this is a cop out because I think we're going to say this. We said this about a lot of cards. We're going to keep saying those cards, but it's either really good or no one's going to care, and that's upsetting.
Well, yeah, I do think Regent is the better card. So I
Sure.
think where you might see this is if you kind of want a 5th, maybe play one of these in 4 Thunderbreak Regents or something like that. So, but who knows?
I mean,
we don't know.
Typically, you'd want that kind of effect in a burn kind of deck, where it's just I'm going to draw cheap spells that I can cast and get them out of my hand, and then kill you with this dragon as well.
But Regent's also like a lightning bolt, so it's going to be tough to evaluate.
I
I think.
agree with that statement as well.
Sorry, go ahead.
I'll say it. I don't think this will see play.
Okay, there you go.
Cube?
Got it.
Absolutely not.
No.
No? Okay.
Listen to him. You
Move
stay
on.
out of my
Actually,
cube.
yeah, red is a lot of ridiculous 4-drops. So.
Yeah.
Yeah, if I ever saw this card and then I saw Koth in a pack, I'd be like, well, LOL, Avaricious Dragon.
See you later.
All right, so who added Call of the Full Moon?
I did.
All right, you can do this one then, Dave.
I can do this one. Okay. Call of the Full Moon is colorless and a red for an enchantment aura, so enchant creature. Enchanted creature gets +3/+2 and has trample. And then at the beginning of each upkeep, if a player casts 2 or more spells last turn, sacrifice Call of the Full Moon. So I just wanted to throw this one in there. Some people have been talking about this card. I think it could be really good.
In your cube?
No.
Oh.
No.
Then nowhere then. Okay, good.
Wow.
Great.
No, think about standard. How early are people playing 2 spells in a turn? Typically, not until turn 5.
They only need to
usually.
play one. It's called Lightning Strike.
Or Wild Slash, even.
Yeah. Let's be fair.
I don't know. I could see this thing being pretty good.
I
in a
think
red
so.
aggressive deck.
I think the dream scenario is what turn you're on the play, you go Monastery So Spear, the next turn you play this and trigger prowess, and you attack for 5, and then you do a backflip and karate chop out of your chair. But
Yeah.
I mean then you're say your opponent then the next turn even turn 3 then Thought seizes you and then casts a removal spell. Thought Seize Ultimate Price. Ultimate Price your
Really
other
got
guy.
ya.
Thought Seize a card in your hand. Sacrifice your thing. Go.
Yeah. I'm not saying it's super good. I'm just saying I could see it seeing play.
I mean, what was the one out of Gatecrash that saw a bunch of play.
Madcap skills.
Madcap skills. I mean, Madcap skills was similar. Like it made a creature harder to block. This one adds toughness, but I think that secondary clause makes
It gives it trample. Yeah,
That's
that's a
trample
big
too.
deal.
So it's
No,
kind of
that's what I'm saying. I get in toughness as well, but I will say like Madcap skills is a card like even late in the game where you could just like draw that and all of a sudden like blow your opponent out. I think it's harder to do with this card. So
Madcap skills also took a very specific deck to be good. Again, being Naya
Correct.
Blitz, a super aggressive deck. That's what
Yeah.
would have to happen for this
Yeah.
to be good.
but like
And
Tom
in
Ross played
don't. Go
Madcap.
ahead.
in those super aggressive decks, you want to cast 2 spells.
Yeah,
a
I
turn.
was gonna say, doesn't the deck that plays this want to cast 2 spells on turn 2, like
I get-
3 and 4?
I guess that's true.
If you cast this, then cast another spell that same turn, it's gone.
Actually happened to the pre-release. Poor guy like did not know that worked. Like cast it, like attacked for a bunch. I was like, yeah, and then I was like, pretty sure you sacrificed that because like it checks itself, and he's like, oh, and like yeah, like that's awkward. Yeah, I think that is actually the argument right there that seals the deal on this card. Sorry, Dave.
I just wanted to point it out.
I think it was okay to point out.
Yeah.
That's fair. That's fair. All right, I let you take that one so I could begrudge the next one.
Sure.
Chandra, Fire of Kaladesh, 1 red for a 2/2 legendary creature human shaman, which I hate this. I hate that she's a shaman. It actually bothers me so bad because she literally comes from like a world where like people aren't natural. Like wizards don't like people who are able to cast magic don't naturally happen. She lives with like machines and robots. Somehow she's a shaman though. This is probably the nerdiest thing you're ever gonna get to.
To be
but-
fair,
ugh.
young pyromancer, also a shaman.
Don't care. Light them all on fire then. Anyways, when you cast a red spell and tap Chandra Fire of Kaladesh, Chandra Fire of Kaladesh deals one, or tap her. She deals 1 damage to target creature, or I wish it was target creature, to target player. If Chandra has dealt 3 or more damage this turn, exile her, then return to the battlefield, transformed under her owner's control. She becomes Chandra Roaring Flame. She has 4 loyalty to start with, +1. She does 2 damage to target player. -2. She does 2 damage to target creature. -7. Chandra Roaring Flame deals 6 damage to each opponent. Each player dealt damage this way gets an emblem that says at the beginning of your upkeep, this emblem deals 3 damage to you. So she lights them on fire, and they stay on fire.
The land continues to burn.
like they're jumping in the water, and it's like it's not doing anything.
So you're telling me you want a giant picture of this framed for your living room?
The backside of it, sure. I don't really want the tiny little kid Chandra. That art doesn't do like that's.
No, I'm just saying you're just a huge Chandra fan. And
I am a huge Chandra fan, and I actually have 2 framed pieces of Chandra artwork in my house. Unfortunately, I don't think this card is as good as either of the pieces that are being referenced there. And the first piece is the original Chandra. So, this card's so underwhelming to me. Like, as a 3-drop, you have to do so much work to get it to transform, and it becomes a planeswalker with a high amount of loyalty, but it doesn't really do very much. Like, it shocks your opponent, but it doesn't control the board in a way. It doesn't protect itself other than possibly having 5 loyalty.
It doesn't control the board. You can shock creatures.
What creatures die to it when you flipped here? Like, that doesn't make sense to
Goblin
me.
Rabblemaster.
Oh, you did it. All right, cool. You mean the Rabblemaster that's been in play since the last turn, so like you're going to kill it, but the
Yeah,
Goblin
yeah,
token left
probably.
behind is still attacking you? Great.
it kills Liliana's token.
Yeah. Dead.
We did it.
Dead.
We did it.
It kills anything with 2 toughness? I don't know.
I don't know what we're doing.
So I originally thought that this was actually the worst one, but I've come around on it a little bit. Here's
I haven't. She's the
Here's
worst
why.
one.
Here's why. You can so you play this on turn 3, and assuming it doesn't die. You can attack the next turn, right? You can attack before blocks. You can like lightning strike their blocker on tap, still deal 2 damage. Then you can tap, flip.
Yeah, I said that the
Boom.
day she was spoiled.
Yeah.
Okay.
I don't know. I think this is actually. I think it's better than Gideon and it's better than Jace.
I think she's easier to flip than Mike's giving credit for.
So I want to revisit that scenario where you've attacked and she's been blocked. Is that what you said?
No. So you attack before blockers. You like lightning strike their guy,
Gotcha.
and then she untaps.
Okay,
but
so,
it is still attacking.
But if their guy's a courser.
Oh yeah.
Well,
There
if you
goes
like,
the course.
Oh yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Oh yeah. You mean what? Think about that.
I'm not saying like this card is like the best red card in the set. I'm just saying like it's not as bad as you're saying. What you're saying it is.
I don't know if your scenario works. If you lightning strike their guy, she doesn't do any damage.
No, he's saying
She
before
does.
blocks.
Yeah, before blocks. So you attack before blocks.
Kill their
your
own
guy,
blocker,
and then you
hit
trigger.
him
You
for
untap.
1, still hit him for 2 in combat. Then she transforms.
Well, she has to live through that combat.
So
Yes.
this is turn 4 in this standard format. So the only creature they have that can block obviously only dies the lightning strike.
Yeah, it's certainly possible that she will not be playable in this current
but-
standard format. However, in the future,
The creature
something-
can't die to lightning strike. If the creature dies to lightning strike, she doesn't do any damage.
No, he's saying before,
Before
blocks.
blocks.
Oh, okay. And it still doesn't
I
make
thought I
any
said
sense.
that, but
Then
also
she deals 2 damage to the
Yeah.
player. Is what he's.
also hilariously, if you do the ultimate and the damage somehow gets redirected to you, you get the emblem as well. So if somebody deflecting palms you,
I just,
you dead.
Oh wow! Dude,
I just think that's so funny. Ah! I'm already playing. So is that like the bad fireworks accident at that point in time?
That's bootleg fireworks.
that was a Jason Pierre-Paul.
Wow. -7
I-
bootleg
honestly-
fireworks.
Like, I don't want to say like I'm down on this card. I want to see scenarios where it's good. I think we talked about like Jeskai Ascendancy is an interesting place where you could play this. It gets to untap when you cast spells anyways, and then doing 2 damage a turn while you're also trying to combo off of that deck isn't a bad thing. However, I don't know what it really adds to any deck. Like I haven't seen any way where this card is the card I want to have in play. Like I never want my 3-drop to be this. Or we're going to talk about another 3-drop in red in this set a couple cards from now that seems just like strictly better most of the time for what red wants to do. So I don't know. I hope I can see this card be good, but you have to jump through a lot of majorings. I need to get away from this from this metaphor to make this card good.
It's interesting. I don't think it's it's the worst though. I don't think it's the worst of them.
She certainly does a lot of damage if you ultimate her.
She
You've done a lot of damage to your. You've pinged them a few times to flip her. You've plussed a bunch. She's dealt 6. She deals 3. There's a lot of damage going on.
Sir, you know for a fact that I have actually just killed opponents with a Chandra the Firebrand. Only a Chandra the Firebrand. Okay, I know that they're capable of doing a lot of damage. However, Chandra the Firebrand starts off as a planeswalker, so it can't just immediately die to their creature in combat. Like, oh, cool, I'm going to attack for 2. Like, oh, I was going to pump this guy. Like, oh, that's cool. I wish I wasn't a creature.
So one last point I want to make here. And I know you said, so what is shock kill in this format? It doesn't necessarily have to kill anything outright. Like, the fact that it can help your burn spells kill a bigger guy is
Sure,
actually a big deal.
But you have to -2 to do
Right.
that.
No,
That-
I
see,
know.
and that fundamentally bothers me. I just don't understand why they're so... I mean, I would leave it to them, and maybe I could have complained to Stod more. I don't know, but I just don't understand why they're so terrified of a red planeswalker actively having an okay amount of loyalty. Like, whoa, we have to make sure that she almost killed. Raul Zarek ticked down -2 to deal a lightning bolt. That's a red-blue guy. Johnny was white-red. He can deal 3 damage, but the chick who's on fire goes to ya. Let's continue.
All right.
It's your turn.
See, this is why I read
know.
them.
Ember
I'm
Maw
re-
Hellion. Ember Maw Hellion is... Let me get it pulled up real quick.
Ember Maw Hellion, 3 red, trample.
Got it. Trample. 4/5. It says, if another red source you control would deal damage to a permanent or player, it deals that much damage +1 to that permanent or player.
Oh man, this
When it
works
says permanent,
really well
it
with
means-
Chandra.
Yeah. When it says permanent, it really means planeswalker.
So I put this card on here. I think I've said this about a couple red cards before. I don't know why I'm so keen on the second coming of Arcslogger, but it's a card that sort of puts me in that same scenario. But it's an interesting red creature for me. It's in a weird spot in the format where it's actually bigger than most of the bigger or at least sizably compared to the creatures that it cares about. Doesn't die to a Siege Rhino, doesn't die to Tasigur, gets through them. Actually kills those things because of the. Or it can't actually kill those things if you stack them up, which I saw the pre-release where you had 2 in play at one time, and the math gets really fuzzy. Gross. But this card is interesting as top of a curve for me. I talked about it a little bit before with like Chandra Pyromaster, where all of a sudden you're 2 to your guy, 2 to you, when you cast this. You get a lot of real value out of it, and they have to kill this then instead of your other things. Otherwise, it gets a little out of control. So I think this is a powerful card overall, and that effect is something that's sort of every single thing doing 1 more damage makes every single one of your cards just a little more a little scarier, a little harder to deal with.
So, Keller, Cube?
No.
I
mean, I don't think so.
Survives
Why?
wildfire, man.
God, it does.
Survives wildfire.
No, well, actually, it doesn't.
wait,
it
does
doesn't actually survive
wait.
wildfire.
Never mind. Never
It
mind.
survives your opponent's
Abort,
wildfire.
abort.
All right, so is it better than...
It's actually unreal.
It's horrible.
Is it better than Zealous Conscripts, Stormbreath Dragon, Thundermaw Hellkite, Ourobrask,
No.
Siege Gang Commander, Kiki Jiki?
No, the only reason why you would put it in is if it survived wildfire, but it doesn't. So
kills
never
itself.
mind.
It does make the next card on our list do 5 damage though.
Yeah.
So our next card is Exquisite Firecraft, which is 1 red for a sorcery. Exquisite Firecraft deals 4 damage to target creature or player. If you have Spell Mastery, then it cannot be countered by spells or abilities. By the way, if I was going to frame a Chandra artwork from this set, it'd be this one.
So she knows how to do 4 damage.
Exactly.
Yeah, okay.
For as much mana as it costs to cast her as a creature.
I'm confused.
Yeah, we all are. This card, I really like this card a lot. I think we've been missing sort of like Mizium Mortars is awesome. Before obviously Mizium Mortars is not the same card. However, there were plenty of awkward situations where I looked at a Mizium Mortar and said, "Man, it's cool
Yeah,
that you do
if you
4
could
damage to
go
a creature, but
upstairs."
if you could just do 4 damage to them." And Exquisite Firecraft is like, "I'm here, my son."
Yeah, I like this card. This feels like Languish. Like this card is a good rate. It's a card that will see play.
And like the counterability clause, like uncounterable clause, is like pretty relevant in this format. Like you're going to get there in a deck that's playing these spells. Like, but the first one you cast may not have spell mastery, but they're going to get there.
And when it has Spell Mastery is exactly when you want it to not
Yeah,
be countered.
exactly.
Right at the end of the game
Right.
where the control decks just stabilize. They're
I
about
want
ready
you
to
to
be-
die.
Yeah.
You're at 3. I'm going to do this, but I always counter spells. I don't care. You see how exquisite this fire is?
You're gonna like it.
The control player's like, "Ooh, pretty." Oh no! I'm on fire.
So these are the good fireworks as opposed
Yeah,
to the
So
bootleg
you actually know what this art is?
Premium fireworks.
This is the one, like, if you saw these on 4th of July, these are the people who take their slow motion camera and then they skywrite with like sparklers. That's what this art is. Shoo 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 shoo.
It just writes out, "You did."
DED.
Dead.
All right.
All right, Dave. Next one.
Are we really doing this one?
Which one?
All right, we'll just lump these together. We have 2 crappy burn
Oh,
spells.
oh well, hey, I didn't put that one. I didn't put this one on here.
No, I put that. I know. I did.
Well,
So
why are you
we
complaining?
have
I deleted the other
we,
one.
We have your crappy burn spell.
I deleted it.
Okay, delete. All right, we'll just do my crappy burn spell. then.
Why?
All right, because I think it's good.
Wait, I'm confused.
It's a good. It's a good crappy burn spell.
I
All
know.
right, so
okay.
all right, fiery impulse, red instant, deals 2 damage to target creature, and it has spell mastery. So if you have spell mastery, it deals 3 damage to target creature instead. So I think this is an interesting sideboard option for decks that are not looking to go upstairs. So in most scenarios, I would think you're going to play Wild Slash over this. Though I can definitely see maybe a control deck that would want to, like, if you're just looking to hit early creatures, like this is going to be able to kill a Rabble Master. It's going to be able to kill those early drops, but maybe have a little slightly more utility late game.
I guess so. I feel like, at least for now, I feel like if I'm going to play that effect and I'm the control deck, I'm probably looking at Magma Spray first, just because like with so many Den Protectors running around, like I'd rather like I don't want to Fiery Impulse or Den Protector. I want to
Yeah.
Magma Spray it.
This might be another one to kind of tuck away for post
Yeah,
rotation. But
I mean, there will be a time where we don't have Wild Slash. You know,
When that time comes, I guess maybe. I will say, did you know where they got this art? This is actually concept art for the new Terminator movie. That's a young
Sarah Connor
just lighting Terminators on fire.
yeah, that's makes perfect sense.
Did
I
to
think
me.
that really
joke?
works.
Comes over going like snap, and I was like, "Did I take it?" Like, oh yeah, this is definitely just like a young Sarah Connor just like going to town. Like, get out of here, Darnold.
Darnold.
Darnold. That's all I got. Deal with it.
No,
All right,
that's
next
fine.
card. All right,
Yeah.
Flame Shadow Conjuring. Now I know that this card is going to be in Type 4.
Well, it's already in Type 4. It's a mini reflector.
I'm just gonna go get a snack. right
So
now.
the second one in.
So this is 3 colors and a red for an enchantment. Whenever a non-token creature enters the battlefield under your control, you may pay red. If you do, put a token onto the battlefield that's a copy of that creature. That token gains haste. Exile at the beginning of the next end step. So this is the fixed like sneak attack.
Oh.
Like I'm saying, like neutered for standard, right? Like 4 mana enchantment, 1 red activation. However, you have to play the creature first.
I don't like equating it to sneak attack. I like it just give your creature haste. If it dies in combat, takes these backsies. You get your guy back. You know?
Well, so
takes
the
these-
reason
time
I guess-
machine.
I guess the reason I mentioned sneak attack is because so much of the set is like trying to evoke other cards. So I feel like that's kind of what they're doing here.
I mean, that's possible. I mean,
I'm not saying it's anywhere near the power level of sneak attack.
No. It certainly has the stats for it, but
Do think it's a really powerful card though. I don't know, like, again, we're going to Zendikar where like we saw in the past, there's a lot of crazy creatures on Zendikar. We don't know what the combo opportunities here are.
it's certainly hard to say. I mean, like I said, we've seen this effect before. This card has been printed before, but it cost 1 more mana to both play and activate, and it was not considered playable at all. So, I mean, it really is hard to say.
Can I just combine this with Flame Rush Rider? Flame Rush Rider is the raid guy or the dash guy that when he attacks, then you can put a copy of another creature that's attacking. So you're just like attack with like, I don't know, whatever my 3-drop is, and then or like I'll dash this, make a copy of it, and then we'll make 2 more copies of this creature, and
Yes, you can do that.
yes,
Again, Mike copying things.
deal with it.
It's going to be hard for this to push out Outpost Siege. As a thing.
That's fair. I said I feel like again like this is another one of those weird engine cards where like I could see them printing a creature where like this combos out something terrifying. I mean, heck, like play this card with like Woodland Bellower in a ramp deck, and like you're getting a copy of Woodland Bellower, so you get to attack for you get 12 damage across 2 turns. You also get to trigger and get 2 creatures that turn. Like that's scary powerful.
Can we just play this with Goblin Rabblemaster?
I mean, it makes more tokens.
Yeah.
That's for sure. So. It's or honestly with Goblin Pile Driver
with
it.
Pile Driver, I was going to say you give your Pile Driver haste.
So I think it's interesting. But I saw this. I knew this is a Type 4 card. So I assume those not cube though, because again, sneak attack is already allowed in that format. So.
Yeah, and 4 is really hard to break into for red, but
fair enough. All right, let's move on then to Goblin Glory Chaser. Or Glory Seeker, my apologies.
No, it's a Glory Chaser.
Chase.
It is
He's
Chaser.
chasing.
I think I put Seeker in the notes. That's what it is. Because I know there's Glory Seeker and there's Glory. I don't know. Whatever. So this is 1 red for a 1/1 renowned 1. As long as it's renowned, it has menace. We actually talked with Stod last week. He said this is his favorite card in the set.
Yeah.
He also said it used to have haste and it was just Goblin Guide. So
Yeah, that's probably a better for it to have menace instead when it's renowned. So.
So it's awkward to say that this feels underpowered compared to the red 1-drops we have in standard right now. Like it's not as good as Zergo, and it's not as good as like Swift Spear, but it's still pretty good in its own right.
I mean, I don't even know if I'd really play this over Foundry Street
Yeah.
Denizen.
It's fair, but maybe so if we looked, I mean, the card that comes after this on our list is Goblin Pile Driver. You know what I mean? So if we would probably play it in conjunction with Foundry Street Denizen, which is I think the key.
You're certainly looking at the tribal implications of it,
Right.
over just the power. But
Like I think it's close anyways as a good red 1-drop, but then like it being a goblin is relevant.
I really liked this card when it came out because I like red creatures that have blocking restrictions. That makes them really good.
Right.
But I've kind of gone away from this card. I don't really like it anymore.
Fine.
I don't really think it's good
either.
enough. I think just being on the draw is going to make this card so much harder to get in.
Probably not going in my cube.
I think this card could be really dependent on if they give us some sort of Lord variant in Zendikar. Like if we get like a Goblin Chieftain back, then all of a sudden I think this card gets a lot more attractive. Dave just did his little like happy like Snoopy dance over there, like do 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 do. So, but let's take this conversation then into Pile Driver. Then we discussed this already a little bit. Colorless red, 1/2 creature Goblin Warrior, protection from blue, the only creature with protection in the entire set. Whenever Goblin Pile Driver attacks, it gets +2/+0 until end of turn for each other attacking Goblin. So, obviously, creature's very happy when there are goblins around. We saw a Goblin deck top 8 a couple weeks ago with a lot of tokens. It's a pretty. I mean, like. It's definitely like you talk about like an aggro deck can be measured by its 1 and 2 drops. This is the 2-drop for a Goblin deck. The granddaddy of them all, really.
This is certainly the best place to print this card, just so it's barely with Rabblemaster, but we also get it into Modern. We haven't had a Goblin deck in Modern. This might bring that.
Style
about.
last week said that like when they assessed this card, they said that they knew that Goblin's the tier 2 deck in Modern. I didn't question him on it. But I've never seen it.
Yeah, I think his tiers were a little off. I think it's like tier 3.
Maybe?
Yeah.
Like, I've never seen it. I've never seen it happen.
I've played against it before.
Yeah, I've seen lists. But
Okay, fair enough.
Not-
I mean, like, I don't doubt it, but I'm just like, I've never, like, putting it on a tier seems odd.
I've never seen it with my eyes. I've read about it. I've never seen it in
that
real
being
life.
said,
That's what I mean.
If it was really tier 2, like, say it was like fringe tier 2, tier 3, like, I mean, any aggressive red deck has a chance to kill people anyways. Well, now you're adding like a legitimate legacy powerhouse into the deck. So, that same goes for standard. Whenever you have a card in standard, like so, look at what Thoughtseize did. You know what I mean? Like when you ever take a card of that power level and put it into standard, you have to stand back and watch for a minute because it could turn out the pile driver is kind of a dud. The goblins and Zendikar aren't that great, and it spends its time in standard sort of quietly. But as we talked about last week, all it takes are a couple other powerful cards and goblin cards in the next few years, and all of a sudden, pile driver's a $40 card in modern, and Deceiver Exarchs are crying because they want to tap it down, and it's like no. I don't know why it became Macho Man, but it did. Like if you look what it's doing, man, it's
it has pierced chin like that. That seems
It's about to drop the elbow.
to be fair, it kind of looks like a Slim Jim. So
I wouldn't want to snap into that. I'm just gonna put that out there. Would not. Mm-mm.
oh man, all right. Let's move on here. Dave, got the next one.
We have Magmatic Insight. So it's a red sorcery. As an additional cost to cast Magmatic Insight, discard a land card. Then draw 2 cards. I'm not really sure how to evaluate this. I feel like it should be good. I think the obvious comparison is to Tormenting Voice, which we have. It was printed twice in the standard format.
I mean, they've really been pushing that card. It was Wild Guess, and it was harder to cast. And then it was Tormenting Voice, and it was a little bit easier to cast. And now they're like they're really trying to see just how far can they push this effect.
Yeah, I think in my mind, I feel like you most want to be just discarding an extra land to this anyway. So the fact that it's 1 mana versus 2 is like pretty important.
I mean, I disagree. I disagree with that point. I disagree with Magmatic Insight being a push of Tormenting Voice. I think Tormenting Voice is better.
See, I don't disagree because you can do. I think they're very different.
Yeah,
I
think being able to smooth your draws early by hitting your land drops is good. A plus for Tormenting Voice, where this makes you discard that land. You can't keep the 2-land Magmatic Insight hand where you could keep a 2-land Tormenting Voice hand.
No, and I totally agree with you. Like I've played Tormenting Voice a lot in like limited. And I played it in standard too, so don't get me wrong. But limited, when I was splashing an extra color, like if I had a third color, I'm playing this. This card though feels like, at least for standard purposes, like this is the card the mono red aggro deck wants versus Tormenting Voice. Like this is that's the deck that wants to pay only 1 mana, wants to get rid of a land card and draw gas. So but I think you're right. You're absolutely right. These are very different effects. So I think this card could see standard play. Like I don't see a reason why it couldn't. Again, it only costing 1 means the deck that will want it can use it. So but we'll have to see here. But again, they're trying to make you like. I guess when I say like they're trying to make you play this effect, they're like, what do we have to do to make you put this in your deck and say red is good at doing this? Because we need to know how red can draw cards, and we need to let it happen.
How does red get card advantage?
Well,
Hopefully
this isn't card.
Well, yeah. Okay, I guess.
Well, but so their advantage is through quality.
Card selection.
Card selection, true.
All right, let's talk about the next one sort of quickly. I know I think we're all sort of down on it, but again, another one of these engine cards that exists in this set. Molten Vortex is a red for an enchantment. It says pay a red, discard a land card. Molten Vortex deals 2 damage to target creature or player. So this is I forget the name of the card.
Seismic Assault.
Seismic Assault. That doesn't cost 3 red to begin with, but you have to pay for each activation, which immediately to me feels infinitely worse.
Yeah, I feel like it way worse, even though this one's only 1 mana.
But you do get to play this on turn 1, and it sort of just sits there, which is interesting, but you have to devote a whole card to it. It's sad, but Borgamos is not in the format anymore, so we can't find cool ways to chuck lands with this. But again, another engine card that's just sort of sitting there. We don't know what it does.
Yeah, I kind of feel like this is a plant for Zendikar.
I get it.
It doesn't really do anything right now. And really, these type of effects, like Seismic Assault, wasn't good when it was just like you're not just gonna like put it in a mono red deck and be like, oh, I got Seismic Assault, now I can discard my extra lands. Like that's not actually good because like
yeah,
like just to get 2 damage, you have to spend 2 cards, and so compare that to this one, right? So you have to pay like red, like use 3 cards to deal 4 damage. It's just not
sounds
good.
like you cast 3 shocks.
Yeah, like,
So I mean, it's not the worst thing in the world, I guess.
that's not even 3 shocks.
I know the only times I've ever seen Seismic Assault played. Obviously, it's been in modern multiple times with that Raven's Crime Loam deck, and back in the day with Trade Routes, that was a sweet deck. But
That was in that tiny liters brew that we had. Oh yeah, we had it.
I think it will need a lot to see this card work. Though I have seen a couple of lists already running out there that are playing this and aggressive mining together. Where it's like all right, I am done playing lands at land drop 5, and I'm going to draw 10 cards and hope I like float all this mana and hope you're either dead or I lose. So,
I mean, when it comes down to it, if this card sees play, it'll only be in standard. Like, there's no modern viability, I believe, for this card.
Seismic Assault just gets there, and triple
Yeah.
red is not that big of a drawback.
Yeah,
You
exactly.
can play filter lands and
Yeah,
stuff. It's like whatever.
So, I don't know. Maybe we'll have to wait and see. I don't like. I feel like this is sort of a similar thing that happened with the card that was similar to what Goblin, the Sacrifice Deal 1 when they reprinted that.
And the Goblin Bombardment?
Yeah, when they did the new Goblin Bombardment.
The Barrage.
Yeah. And
Barrage of Expendables.
Expendables,
Yeah,
yes.
that's it.
So like this is kind of a similar
Sylvester
thing they're
Stallone.
doing with that card, where it's like it costs less, but there's an activation cost to it. That's not just do it. So, and we saw that didn't really do anything in standard. So I can kind of predict a similar trajectory for this card.
I like it. Trajectory.
Yeah.
So this is how this card would have to be playable. They would need to, in Zendikar or sometime in the future, they would need to print a green enchantment that says, at the beginning of your upkeep, return up to 3 land cards from your graveyard to your hand, and then activated abilities of enchantments cost 1 red less. Then this card would be good.
Oh man,
I don't think they're going to do that.
that
so.
seems likely.
All right.
Maybe if it was like Ice Age,
All right,
that's
we've
probably a card
literally
they would
talked
do.
way too much about this
Yeah,
card.
forever.
Let's go.
Let's move on.
All right, it's you, Dave.
Pia and Kiran Nalar, Chandra's parents. So we have 2 colorless red legendary creature human artificer. 2/2. When it enters the battlefield, put 2 1/1 colorless Thopter artifact creature tokens with flying onto the battlefield. And it also has an activated ability of 2 and a red, sacrifice an artifact. Pia and Kiran Nalar deals 2 damage to target creature or player. So this is basically the new Siege Gang variant. Pretty big fan of this card. I think this card's pretty sweet. It's 4 power for 4 mana. But like we said before, I mean, being able to sack any artifact and not just the Thopters that you make, I think gives us a little bit of versatility.
Including the Thopters that your Spy Network makes.
Yeah. Exactly.
Yep.
So I want to ask the card about because I think we talked about this card for standard. I'm not a biologist or geneticist. I don't understand how 2 artificers create a shaman. Literally makes no flavor sense. I want everyone to know this.
Oh, no.
Okay,
We're back here.
like they draw the blueprint up for their kids and they're like, you know what? Let's sacrifice it to the tree so it could be a shaman. Anyways, I do want to ask about cube for this though because I talked to somebody this weekend. I'm assuming this would make it into your cube right now.
No.
But I talked to a couple people this weekend. They said that this format, like that, you could have already made like blue red an artifact theme if you wanted to, but that this format really gives you the tools to do it. If you wanted to like retool your cube, you can now do blue red artifacts and have some solid stuff like this to go into it.
I mean, that's certainly true. I think that's true of a lot of different cards, though.
Okay,
if
fair enough.
if you want to warp your, I mean, it's you could warp your environment. I mean, not saying warp it so much, but you can change cards in your cube to make it viable.
Sure,
But
Turns on your Mox Opal.
wow,
Just saying.
you did
it
it.
does turn my
Boom.
Mox Opal. Like I don't know. I guess in cube, like I'd like to go like I don't know, like is it signet into Thopter Spy Network and just be like, oh yeah, I did it. All right, let's talk about the next one here as we're getting close to the end of red. Let's talk about Scab Clan Berserker. Now this is the card I was comparing Chandra to. 1 red for a creature human Berserker, the 2/2 with haste, renowned 1. Whenever an opponent casts a non-creature spell, if Scab Clan Berserker is renowned, Scab Clan Berserker deals 2 damage to that player. Now this is an interesting card for me because in my mind this falls somewhere between like Eidolon of Revels and what's the Mindbreaker or whatever it was, the 3/2 with first strike. You know what I'm talking about?
Ash Zealot? Oh, Mind
No.
Sparker.
Mindsparker, that's it. Like it falls somewhere between them. This having haste though, I think is pretty important because like if you curve out with this and you get to hit them for 2, like you now have a 3/3 that if they try to kill it with something, they're gonna take 2 damage. And whenever that happens, like that's pretty good value. Paying 3 mana for a 2/2 with haste though is not something you're consistently in the business for. Like it either has to fly like Chandra's Phoenix has in the past, or get some kind of value like Alvin Rabble Master. The effect on this card is powerful enough, though, and again, haste is always sort of, the more creatures you have with haste in these red decks, the better chances you have to recover from languishes or anything else. That this card is definitely worth a look.
Yeah, I like this as even a sideboard card against maybe a control deck that may not be kind of ready for this, and then it comes in, gets in, and then like they have to take a lot of damage to get rid of it, and then you kind of gain your advantage that way. So I like it there. Maybe not main deckable, but definitely sideboard material.
I mean, in that scenario, like if you get to hit them for 2 and then they kill it, like it's 4 damage out of one card. Like and like I said, we said Exquisite Firecraft is a good rate. Like I'm not comparing it to Exquisite Firecraft, but I'm saying like if you paid 3 mana and they took 4 damage, that's fine. If they took 2 attacks from it, like then you're just in like total value.
Yeah, I think you have to keep it in the sideboard until Courser and Caryatid leave.
Yeah, that's unfortunate, but you're probably right. All right, next one, Dave.
Next card, Smash to Smithereens. So you guys know what this does, but I'll say it anyway.
It smashes things
yeah.
to smithereens.
To smithereens.
So it's a colorless red instant, destroy target artifact, deals 3 damage to that artifact's controller. For standard, I guess it kills whip, if that's still a thing. Not sure what else.
Well, I
this would
definitely think
kill.
like if any of the blue red artifact deck takes off, and then it's the couple ancillary artifacts, like you're probably playing Call Against Command over this. Like if you're gonna play an artifact removal spell. However, like look at any format where Burn's been a thing, and you could be in this format again. Smash Smithereens is a pretty sweet sideboard option where you get to like, oh, I get to kill this thing incidentally. Like for the red deck, killing a whip is a big deal.
Yeah.
Killing a whip and then hitting them for 3 is an even bigger deal. So whenever this card is available, like, and honestly, this common before Modern Masters 2, and now this printed it. This card was creeping up into $2 to $3 range as a common. So it's important to note that when it's good, it's kind of like a Wolverine, right? Like it's the best at what it does.
And I mean, we don't know what's coming out in battle. Again, we've already speculated that there's going to be artifact and equipments and potentially pretty good
Relics,
ones.
if you will.
Yeah, correct. Ones that you might seek out. So if those are good, then this card might be good as well, especially if you don't have access to Call Against Command.
And this card's been played in Standard before. It was destroying Locks and Warhammers out of the mono red deck, but still,
Yeah,
very important. But
it is
still,
something
still
you want
good.
to do. Yes.
All right, let's go. Last card for red. Thopter Engineer. It's 2 colorless and a red for a 1/3. When it enters the battlefield, put a 1/1 colorless Thopter artifact creature token when flying into the battlefield. Artifact creatures you control have haste. Now, I think this one, like as a 3-drop, is like really good. Like it's just good value. Like it gets to attack for 1 when you cast it. That secondary ability is sort of like it's sort of just like there. Like you kind of forget about it. Like I had in Sealed this weekend. I had the Foundry of the Consoles, which we'll get to near the end of this, but it was like, oh yeah, and it's like oh, like I got to attack for this much. Oh, sack this, get 2 Thropters, they have haste, attack for 2, you're dead. I was like, yeah, I forgot this thing gives things haste. I saw a couple of Chapin's lists already sort of brewing with this card, where you're like, you play this card, then you curve it into Kira and Pierre Noir, and you're attacking for 3, and then you have Thopter Spy Network, but they have haste, so you're immediately drawing a card. Like it's one of those things where like that second ability is what it's going to live and die on. Like it's already a 2-for-1. So that's nice, but like that second ability is where it's going to make its money if it does anything. It could also just not be good enough for constructed, but I think that giving all of a certain thing haste has always been pretty powerful.
Yeah. I mean, creating that global effect for at least your side of the board, typically with these cards these days, is definitely a swingy thing and can be really board impacting. And you're obviously going to be building your deck around having this guy in play. So yeah, I won't rule it out as being playable.
I kind of miss the days where a card like this would have been like pretty good in Standard, right? Like for a card like this, like, oh man, getting 2 guys and this thing's had haste. Like we're talking about it being fringe playable, and like man, I want to play this when it would have been like super playable. Sadly, oh by the way, all these cool like if we're done with red now, so we're gonna assess red. All of these cool artifact things get to be in the format for 3 more months with Shrapnel Blast.
Yeah.
Like people forget how powerful that card is. Like Shrapnel Blast is disgusting.
I mean, in Soul Artifact too. Soul
Yeah, in Soul Artifact too.
Good enough for Modern, so.
Like you got to attack with the Soul Artifact thing 3 times, and Shrapnel Blast them with it.
Yeah. I want to do this.
That's the second thing I want to see on camera this weekend. So I want to see Demonic Pact, and then I want to see Blue-Red Shrapnel Blast.
Yes, please. Please.
So just something to point out, it was sort of like a couple years ago when they had Goblin Grenade randomly in the one core set, but not a lot of goblins. And the next one they brought more goblins back, and like for like a few months there, like you would go to FNM and you'd be like, all right, I'm at 5. I think I'm okay. Goblin Grenade. What? Oh, that's standard. Oh,
I'm
that's
dead.
upsetting.
I'm just dead. Red is not as bad as blue.
No, I think red is. I think this is. They've worked really hard on making red feel a little bit different. And granted, they had to slap artifacts onto half of it, but this red here does feel a little bit different. I mean, heck, there's a red uncommon with reach. I don't even know how to. Like, I saw that in my seal pool. I was like, I don't even know what this is doing.
Yeah,
It's
actually
big.
awesome. I love it.
The flavor is great. Like,
Yeah.
it's a giant. It's so tall, things can't fly over it. Like, here comes an ornithopter. We're at eye level. That's actually tink. So yeah, red has got some cool effects. Probably a fair amount of cards are going to see some constructed play. So,
Yeah.
Green.
Yeah, green.
You want to start this, Dave?
Okay. All right. First card we have is Animist's Awakening. It costs X green. It's a sorcery. And it says reveal the top X cards of your library. Put all land cards from among them onto the battlefield tapped, and the rest of them on the bottom of your library in a random order. Also has Spell Mastery. So if you have Spell Mastery, you untap those lands. I really hate this card, actually, so I was kind of disappointed that I got this one. I don't
Get
think
over it.
I don't think this card does anything. Like, so you basically already have to have like a lot of mana to make this worthwhile. So you get more mana, and it's not even like guaranteed to get you. So like, say you do this for 5. So what on average? Say if you're like a third of your deck has lands, so you're maybe 2. I don't know. Like,
No, I
it doesn't
don't
do anything.
I don't disagree. I think people people are drawn to cards like this, so I wanted to put it on here. Like, I don't think it's that great either, and I sort of want to hit on this, and we'll get to Nice's Pilgrimage as well. But these Spell Mastery cards in green don't make any sense to me. Like, hey, if you have 2 or more spells in your graveyard, do this with your lands. I'm like, wait, green the color of creatures and lands? When am I hitting Spell Mastery exactly? Like, I don't understand what's going on. However, being able to put a bunch of lands into play and then untapping them, like, depending on your deck construction, is a powerful effect. If I put them into your hand, though, you could play Molten Vortex.
Yeah. Now, if it was like untap all lands, then we're talking. That'd be a little too broken, but
Someone's going to play this card, probably in conjunction with some of these other giant green cards in this set, but I know people are drawn to this card. I'm going to tell you right now, don't play it.
Yeah. I mean, if there was any doubt that Landfall was like guaranteed to be coming back in battle, like look at some of these green cards where it's like put lands into play.
Okay. Hold on now. What if we have this card in Lotus Cobra? Okay, and then we do it for 1 million with Spell Mastery. So you get it essentially does say untap all lands.
All of a sudden, this is my favorite card in the set.
To be fair, if I said Lotus Cobra and then another card, Keller would immediately think it was a better card.
Yes, absolutely.
So like we have the next card we have here is Caustic Caterpillar. Now if you played,
With Lotus Cobra, this guy's insane.
all right, actually our next card is Conclave Naturalists. Which is 4 and a green for a creature Dryad, which is a 4/4. When it enters the battlefield, you may destroy target artifact or enchantment. Now, we've seen this effect before. Idrix
Stomp Power,
yeah, okay, is one that I know is in everyone's cube, and this is replacing all of it because it says you may instead of you must.
Yeah, it's a strictly better one.
Yeah. So the Dryads taught the Indrik how to do this, but he's an animal and can't control himself, so he just always
He just
does
has
it.
to kill
It's like
something.
the bull painted red. He sees artifact or enchantment. He's just like, so I actually had skipped this. I'm glad you put it back on here because this card like as a 5-mana 4/4 is not that exciting, especially while you still have Reclamation Sage in the format. But its ability is probably never going to be more relevant standard than it is for the next couple of months.
Yeah, I think Reclamation Sage is overall a better card, obviously because it's cheaper. But this one actually does have a relevant body. Like you're not, like you said, like 5-mana 4/4 is like not great, but it's better than a 3-mana 2/1.
And we have 2 tutors in the format, Sidisi and the new one, Dark Petition. And we also have Evolutionary Leap if you want to
I mean, you have Cord still.
kind of do that too. So there's still plenty of ways just to run this as a one-of. And if you wanted a bigger body,
Sure.
then Reclamation Sage.
And Stomp Parlor was played in Standard when that was legal.
Oh, I'm sure it
last
was.
time, so.
To be fair, there were signets.
Yeah.
But yes, it is a standard proven card.
So if you like big bucks and you cannot lie, you have an option.
These Dryads, they
Yeah.
can't lie. They actually can't. They are not allowed to lie. It's part of the whole Selesnya thing. If you have a secret, you can't withhold it from the Conclave.
Oh.
It's actually a running thing. That's why.
Worthos fact.
That's actually why the elf friend of Jace has Jace erase her memories of him being a planeswalker, because he can't tell. She can't tell the Conclave that. They won't know what to do with the information, but she can't hold a secret because it would hurt her on the inside. So
Yeah. Thank you.
I like how you ran out of breath in that sentence.
I was trying to make it like a really calm rant. All right, next card.
All right. Dwynen,
Yeah.
Guiltleaf,
Dean.
Dean. I don't know. This is weird words.
I could be wrong on that. I could be
Dan?
It could be like Dan, like really heavy on the emphasis, like Dan. Like I'm not totally sure on this.
Okay. Anyway, it's a 2 colorless, green legendary creature, elf warrior. It's a 3/4 reach. Other elf creatures you control get +1/+1, and whenever Dwynen attacks, you gain 1 life for each attacking elf you control. So the thing that immediately jumped out to me is like, okay, cool, we have an elf lord. We have an attack trigger and also reach, which is a defensive ability. Interesting.
But it climbs all the trees.
Yeah. I don't know. I mean, it's fine. It's an elf lord. We don't have any other ones in standard right now, so it's. I mean, if the elf deck is a real, then this will probably be played in it. But I'm not really excited by this card.
I was excited by this card until I found out it was the intro deck rare.
Yeah.
And those are never playable. So
Hey, the Siege King parents are an intro rare.
Maybe they're changing.
I've got bad news for you, Mike.
hey, I played a bunch of Lavinia in standard and crushed people with it, so deal with it. So I definitely think this card, like again, like you can see how much they're supporting elves, but to go with it, the next card is Dwynen's Elite, which is a colorless and a green.
I can we go back real quick?
Oh yeah, I
do,
was trying to combine them. I'm
okay.
sorry. Good.
I do like this card as an elf lord. I mean, we know there's going to be elves in the cards because there are, and we have two. And before we get there, will we still have Elvish Mystic when we go to?
No.
No. Yeah, battle will cause
Yeah.
rotation to happen. So
Okay.
no, we will not have Mystic. Though who knows what we'll have? So
Yeah, so I think of being a 3/4 is really relevant, because like a lot of the lords just like are like the 3 drops that just died all pieces of removal, and a 3/4 I guess a 4 drop, but as a 3/4 it survives a fair amount more removal than others do.
I think you can build a competitive linear elf deck in standard, but I don't know why you would, because you would just play Siege Rhino instead. You just play Abzan instead. So this is like a tough card to. I keep going back and forth on.
Well, I think
good this
so. I
card
think
is.
like it's going to be judged by its card, the other elf support cards, and that's why I was going to combine it with the next one, which is Dwynen's Elite, which is a colorless and a green for a 2/2 elf warrior. When Dwynen's Elite enters the battlefield, if you control another elf, put a 1/1 green elf warrior creature token on the battlefield. And I think it's cards like this. Like this is a really solid card for if you're going to play, a linear, aggressive elf deck that wants to just attack. Also wants to trigger things like the shaman, which we'll get to. There's a couple 1-drop elves, like as far as as long as Elvish Mystic is still legal, that's pretty good. The black one also as well that we already talked about, the Gnarlroot Trapper. This is the kind of card that like is can be really good on turn 2, but like every time you get value out of it, again, these 2-for-1s that give you more elves are pretty solid. So this card feels pretty good with Dwynen in general. So I actually didn't know about these elves though. Like I didn't read during Shadow War and stuff. Like I didn't realize they were super racist.
Yeah. They're really. I mean, you hit it right
Well,
on
like
the head.
I just didn't know that. Like I did not know that they were like super racist.
I mean, even within their own elves,
Like they're the bad guys on
they're
Lorwyn.
the bad guys on Lauren and the good guys on
Shadow War. Well, I didn't know this. Like I didn't know anything about that plane. And then like I was there like oh, you brought these here. Like I was like, oh god, like it's okay. There are other things than elves are allowed to live. It's all right. So, no leaves, no. I don't know, something no service. I couldn't figure out what it was.
good job. All right, moving on.
All right. Next card is Evolutionary Leap. This is 1 in a green enchantment. Already evoking some nostalgia there. Has an ability of green. That's where the similarity is, kind of. So as green, sacrifice a creature. Reveal cards from the top of your library until you reveal a creature card. Put that card into your hand and the rest on the bottom of your library in a random order. I'm actually a big fan of this card. I like this card a lot. I think I'm not sure exactly what this goes in yet. However, it's interesting if you're playing a deck with a lot of tokens and only a few actual creatures in it, because you can sack a token and then just get your real creature. Also, just having a sack outlet isn't something that we get a whole lot of in Standard, I would say. And I could also see this being played just as like just a value card, like you just have it in play, and then if they go to kill your guy, you're like, all right, well, cool, I'll just sack it in response, and we'll just go get something else and just keep it going.
Right. You can play it with Liliana, the
Yeah.
flipper, and
Yeah,
then
certainly.
have a creature to get back with her. It's really good, obviously, with Den Protector and Death Miss Raptor. Ugh.
That's really good with Death Miss Raptor.
So-
what isn't good with Death Miss Raptor?
So we're going back to Zendikar, right? So we have at least one big old Drowsy we can get, right?
Well, we still have to cast it though. I
Yeah,
don't
it
think
goes
I
in
don't
your
think you're
hand.
looking for the giant monsters for this. I think you're just looking for value.
Sure, fair enough.
I will say I've said this before I think already, but I love the art so much on this. I think so much because like it's a dead python, and then coming out of the dead python is a gorgon. Like that's actually unreal. Like, oh look, evolutionary leap. Get it? It went from a snake to a snake-haired lady. So, all right, let's go to next card then.
Now, before we go that,
Oh,
we don't have
sorry.
Guy's Revenge on here.
Yeah, that should probably be on there.
Yeah, but 100%. At least
I think I don't know if I asked you. I asked about this card. Like, did this card see any play the last time it was printed?
I think it did.
I mean, at the very least, it's a sideboard card. I would have to imagine against a control deck.
It's
It was in M something.
M11.
I thought it was in like Time Spiral block.
I mean,
No,
even if it
was
didn't,
Oh.
M11.
Okay.
even if
Oh,
it didn't
that-
see
that's
play
okay.
then, we have to take a look at it context now. And I feel like, people have talked about this as being a sideboard card for green decks to side it against control decks, and I think that's viable. It's hard to kill.
I don't disagree. I mean, I think we saw like how good Mistcutter Hydra was for a little while, but we've also seen how worthless it's been since then. Now, granted, you can kill a Mistcutter Hydra with a downfall. You can't kill this with a downfall, but like, I'm not a huge fan of like 7-drop sideboard cards as like an out to the deck. That's like most of the control decks are still running a number of Foul's Invocations and like Wrath effects. Like, I don't know.
I mean,
Yeah, I like. It,
I suppose, but they still have to kill your other threats too before this resolves. I mean, you can just run them out of actual ways to interact with this card, and then they just die to it.
So, all right. So if we're looking at existing decks that would want to play this, I think Green Devotion is probably the most obvious one. It's the one that can cast this pretty easily.
Yeah, most reliably.
And the way that people are fighting Green Devotion decks is through Wraths. Now, it does survive Languish, which is relevant.
Your
but
7-drop
it-
should survive Languish.
Right.
I mean,
But yeah, I mean, it dies to all the other Wraths. So it's certainly a card to consider. I will say that. I just don't know. I don't know how good it'll end up being in that role.
I definitely don't want to get gotten by it. Like I definitely don't want like to be like, okay, thing I've stabilized, your go, and they're just like, I'm gonna cast Revenge, and you're like, sweet, I died. Okay, but I mean, like I think those are corner cases. I don't sideboard like a 7-drop creature doesn't scream side like good strong like sideboard material. Like it doesn't actually interact with the deck until like by the time it interacts with the deck, you probably have already won or lost the game, if that makes sense. Like the amount of times where like the green deck has put their opponent to 4 like the red deck does, and then like can't get through it. That's generally not how that interaction works.
Understandable,
So-
but I mean, like it's still there.
It is definitely there. It's definitely there. All right, so let's go to Gather the Pack, which works kind of interestingly even with Evolutionary Leap, which is a colorless and a green for a sorcery. Reveal the top 5 cards of your library. You may put the creature card from among them into your hand, put the rest in your graveyard. Spell Mastery, if there are 2 or more instant or sorcery cards in your graveyard, you can put 2 creatures from among them, reveal cards into your hand instead of 1. Now again, this is awkward that these green cards keep having Spell Mastery to make them better, but they're looking for non-spell things. Is awkward, but these do chain together pretty well. I remember the Tracker's Instincts was played for a fair amount in Standard, which was it looked for 4 cards, but it had Flashback, which was blue. If you're playing the creature heavy deck, especially the Elf deck, that that's already probably going to be playing Sylvan Messengers, which we'll get to. This is the kind of card that can be pretty good. And the first one might get you 1 creature, but if you're playing this and like Satyr Wayfinder, then like the second one might get you 2 creatures, and then you're getting pretty good value. So. It's definitely a card that I think these kind of spells have been seeing a lot of play, and they've been printing a ton of different variants of them.
So if you're using it in that capacity, it seems like it's just a bad collected company. I know collected company costs 4 and this one costs 2, but it
Also,
puts them
you
into
can get any
play.
creature you want off of this.
Yeah, that's true. I mean,
I think the different decks don't want these effects, but I could be wrong on that.
okay.
I think you're going to want some graveyard interactions, some positive graveyard interactions with this, like you did with Hunter's
Right.
Tracker's Instincts.
I think like if this card is going to be playable, there's going to be. I feel like you're not going to want to use it as just like a value, like oh, I just need to get creatures. Like there's going to need to be a specific creature that you want to get.
And again, I think we haven't gotten to that creature yet,
Right.
but I think we know which. I think we have an idea of what creature that is.
Yeah.
All right, Dave.
All right, Dave, you want to read the Green Time Spiral first?
Yeah, I know. I can't believe we don't have the green time spiral.
I was trying really hard
No,
not
we
to
don't have
talk about that card.
We don't have to talk about it. It's fine. I put in Honored Hierarch because we haven't really talked about
you
this.
skipped one.
You skipped Herald.
Did I? Harold?
Herald. So HE goes before HO. I know I shouldn't make this
it's
joke because
right
I
here.
skipped
I
Relic
didn't.
Seeker,
I didn't see that it was
but-
on the list.
Yeah, Herald of the Pantheon. I'll let you do Honor
Alright.
Hierarch. So Herald of the Pantheon is green, colorless and green creature, Centaur Shaman. Enchantment spells you cast cost 1 less to cast. Whenever you cast an enchantment spell, you gain 1 life. It's a 2/2. This card again is probably another one of these cards in the set that's probably going to be really, really good for a few months and then be absolutely unplayable afterwards.
Yep.
But when this card is going to be like when this card goes like turn 2 Herald, turn 3, you know, like what's the draw card one? I can't think of it now. The 2 green.
Oh, yeah.
Eidolon of Blossom.
Thank you. Yeah, like you're like, oh, like turn 3 Eidolon of Blossoms, and you're like, oh, you're gonna gain a life and draw a card. Like that's gonna feel good.
The other play is turn 2 this, turn 3 Courser Playland.
Oh God,
top of
yeah,
the
that's actually insane as well. Yeah, I like this a lot. Like I think this card is like fits pretty well into that deck. And honestly, like the only other 2-drop really that deck's playing is like Sylvan Caryatid. So I think it slots in pretty well.
The art is kind of awkward on this. I think the art is sweet, but like it has like kind of the Nyx like Starfield or whatever in the back. So I just assumed this was an enchantment creature, but it's
Sir,
not.
this is a core set.
No, I know, but, like, but just looking at the art, I'm like, oh yeah, it's probably just. Oh no, it's not an enchantment.
He's just telling you the gods are coming. He's the herald.
Yes, I get
This
it.
card does make me a little sad. I wish I could play it with Sphere of Safety and Dragons or in Maze's End, but that deck was sweet.
No, it wasn't. All right. Honored Hierarch.
God, I
The
really
hype
wanted
has
to
definitely
skip-
died down on this card.
Do we have to talk about the card? We already talked about this card.
No,
not
no, we
good.
didn't.
Bad move
Yeah,
on.
we did.
We did.
We did.
All right,
Dave, let's talk about it. Bad move on.
it's bad.
So
Okay.
bad.
All right, what's the next one?
All right, we did it.
We don't have Mana Gorger Hydra on here.
That's also a bad card.
Like what? What?
I don't think it's that bad.
I mean, it's pretty bad.
3 mana 1/1 with trample.
Yeah, whenever a player casts a spell, you get a +1/+1.
Yo, there's
counter.
also a 4/3 dragon in this format that whenever opponent casts a spell, you gain a life and it gets a +1/+1 counter, and it's unplayable.
that costs 5. This costs 3.
This doesn't. That
No,
at least. No,
I don't know.
no.
This card is not probably going to be played as long as Death Mist Raptor is in the format.
Okay,
But
I got criticized for putting some stretch cards on here, and you're making me talk about this card. Oof.
hey,
I think
the casuals love this kind of stuff.
Did we say we were going to talk about a casual card?
Also, you can get this off of a card that we're going to talk about later.
Great.
Oh, cool.
Boom.
That's the card. That's what I want my Woodland Bellower to
Yeah.
get. Is that card right there?
Yeah.
I do have a foil one for trade, so if anybody wants,
Dave wants
Dave's sleeper pick. Here you go. All right.
You can play it in Tiny
Can we talk about
Readers.
Nisa here for a minute? How about that?
Yeah,
Oh.
good card.
Is that card good?
Yeah. It is good.
Okay, fine.
Oh, it's
Nisa
me?
Vast. No, it's fine. Nisa Vastwood Seer. 2 colors and a green. Legendary creature, Elf Scout. It's a 2/2. When it enters the battlefield, you may search your library for a basic forest card, reveal it, and put it in your hand. Whenever a land enters the battlefield under your control, if you control 7 or more lands, exile Nisa, then return to the battlefield, transformed under its owner's control. It becomes Nisa Sage Animist. +1, it starts with 3 loyalty. +1, reveal top card of your library. If it's a land card, put it on the battlefield. Otherwise, put it into your hand. -2, put a legendary 4/4 green elemental creature token named Ashaya the Awoken World, which I opened one of those this weekend. I'm really excited about it. It's a sweet token. Onto the battlefield. And -7, untap up to 6 target lands. They become 6/6 elemental creatures. They're still lands. So we talked about Nisa a fair amount. The more we talk about this Planeswalkers, Nisa continues to grow and grow as my favorite one. She's pretty good.
Yeah, I think this one's far and away the best.
Yeah. I'm
Like, it's not even close.
like just for the sheer fact that how do you flip her? You play magic. You make your land drops. You do things you actively want to do, and she actively assists you with this.
And you can not fetch with your fetch lands, and if you play this, then
Yeah, and trigger her.
formats with it just to protect her from removal. But
Yeah, which is awesome. and then just with the sheer fact that Borderland Ranger is like a playable card, it's just standard playable.
Now, I do want to say, like I said, I think there's still downsides, and I've been on this before. Like, it's not as good as Borderland Ranger.
No, because you have to get a forest.
And like in this format, like outside of the devotion decks, there's not a lot of decks playing basic forests. Like Abzan plays a couple.
Yeah,
I mean,
Two.
for Twinstone Teeth.
Fetch lands do make it a little bit awkward because you have
Right.
to you have a lot of things trying to get basics.
Like I've been brewing with this card. Like I have it in a one of in the current list that I have, but with Den Protectors. So like it feels like the perfect kind of card to have as a one of. Where like you're gonna play it on turn 3 and you're gonna get your land when you want to, or sometimes you're gonna draw late and do it this. I still think like she shows off the weaknesses of this design as well. Whereas like it's just a large amount of time where she's just not doing anything as a card, and like getting a land there is not as exciting. But overall, like her flip side is insanely powerful, and it's a green card
Yeah.
that says +1 draw a card.
Yeah,
so,
that's insane. Like the blue planeswalker in this set doesn't do that, but Nis is like +1 draw a card. Who cares? Color pie. Who cares?
Yeah, it's actually just better than draw a card.
Yeah, I was
too.
gonna say it's actually probably is better than draw a card.
Yeah,
right?
like just insane. And then like put a 4/4 into play is perfectly fine. It's probably one of the best planeswalkers at actually protecting itself. Still dies to flyers and burn, but you know most of the other ones do as well. And then the ultimate just kills you, like your opponent is probably dead.
Yeah, it's also interesting to note that like both sides of this card work well with Courser of Crewfix, which you'll probably be playing those cards side by side anyway. So like being able to shuffle a card that you don't want by like casting this and like getting a forest is nice, and then also just the +1 being able to like control your draws even more with having the Courser in play. So yeah, this card is sweet. Like I said, far and away the best planeswalker, not close.
Yep, 100%.
Yeah, I tend to agree with this. All right, next card, Dave.
All right, so the next card we have is Nissa's Pilgrimage, which is a 2 and a green sorcery. Search your library for up to 2 basic forest cards, reveal those cards, and put 1 onto the battlefield tapped and the rest into your hand to shuffle your library. Also has Spell Mastery, and if you have Spell Mastery, you search for 3 forests. So you still only get to put the 1 into play, and 2 go in your hand. But it's kind of a somewhat fixed Kodama's Reach, I guess.
Right.
It only gets forest.
Well, yeah, it only gets forest, but it's hard to talk about this card. I think this card's just automatically going to be good in standard.
Yeah, I feel like probably not right now, but
I think so. I think I would tend to agree with you. I think my view of what ramp looks like has been so warped by the devotion that I don't remember how you're supposed to actually play ramp. And you're like, oh right, cultivate was actually really playable, but it's been a long time, so.
yeah, it's going to be odd because assuming we're not getting any kind of Elvish Mystic type card in battle, so we're not really going to have the 1-mana accelerator, and we're not going to have Nykthos after rotation. So it's kind of going to go back to like these cards that search for lands and put them into play. So I feel like a card like this or like Explosive Vegetation are going to be the cards that people look at when we're looking at ramp strategies.
Right.
So.
I think, again, this is another one of those weird cards where it puts Spellmaster in a card that doesn't. I don't know.
I like the spell mastery on this card. I like getting the extra land on my deck
But
later in the game.
I'm saying, when are you? Like, just decks that do this aren't generally going to have Spell Mastery. By
I
then.
mean, I don't.
Like, the deck that wants 3 forests isn't going to have Spell Mastery on turn 3. Like, it's
Yeah.
not going to happen ever. And then when you draw it later, the cultivates don't get better the later you draw them. So I don't know. I think as we find as a cultivate, I don't think you're ever going to care that you get an extra forest. Like, I don't think there's ever going to be a time where you're like, I got another forest.
Yeah,
I
but like,
value.
yeah, but you're not playing it for that anyway.
No,
It's
sure, but it just seems
value.
tacked on for just like, hey, we need another Spell Mastery card, not for anything that was actually relevant.
I mean, I do think it's a bonus later in the game to take an extra land out.
Sure, but
Just
it's
so-
I mean,
just
you're
one
talking about
less
like
draw.
percentage points.
Right,
so.
right. But that's what most of these spell mastery cards have been.
That's
it's
fair.
just a
That's
small
fair.
little bump up.
Fair enough. All right, I'm going to take the next card because I got some looks about this one. I'm going to tell you right now, it's not my sleeper. It is my honorable mention for sleeper. But this is Nisa's Revelation.
Honorable sleeper.
Honorable sleeper. This is 5 colors, green for a sorcery. Scry 5. Then reveal the top card of your library. If it's a creature card, you draw cards equal to its power and you gain life equal to its toughness. Okay? I know, like this card, like, oh, like this EDH. Except, when you look at this card, like, based on the decks that are going to run it, okay? I'm going to compare this to a card and you're going to laugh at me. This is the Green Sphinx's Revelation. You draw X cards and you gain X life.
was really good timing. It was really good timing from Dave.
And honestly, when you cast it at 7, you're drawing more cards on average and gaining more life than Revelation did. We're going back to Zendikar. Literally, this art, as Stott already said,
yeah, it has Evercool in it.
like it's like her going, Emrakul lives here. Oh, like it's not like there's already some cards we could put into this deck. You get to scry 5 as well, so like you know what you're going to draw with it. Like if you're going to see like a big bank control deck, or even like the kind of deck that's playing Nisa's Pilgrimage, that kind of ramp deck. I think this card could actually be just like devastating. Like not only are you getting your finishers with it, but like you're also gaining 1,000,000 life.
So what happens if you scry 5 and the only creature you have is like a Seder Wayfinder? Or
Sure,
something?
that could happen.
7 mana.
And what happens when
draw
you
2,
rev for
game
4
1.
and you draw
Or
3
draw
lands?
1, game 1? Yeah. I don't
I mean, you just scry that to the bottom as well and roll the
And then
dice.
you go
so, but
blind.
you, like the fact that you could completely whiff.
I mean,
makes me
yeah,
think
and
that this
that's
is
fair.
not-
And that's absolutely fair. And then, or you could scry 5 and flip up your Dragon Lord Tarka and gain 8 life and draw 8 cards and then play Dragon Lord Tarka next turn.
You could. They've tried green card draw type effects. Some of them have been a little different than this, but all of them end up not being very good.
I'm telling you, I think this card is playable. Now we are in a format with CD unwritten, so maybe like that's the card that gets played before this, and I wouldn't disagree with that. But I think this card objectively is really, really powerful and worth taking a look at in Standard.
Okay.
Personal.
Hey, I mean,
opinions.
we all have our crappy cards that we like, so it's fine.
So you do realize that you've said like you literally can't remember things in Standard and haven't played Standard in so long, but you're gonna sit here and say like we like crappy cards. Interesting.
I mean, I said I like Call of the Full Moon, so whatever.
It's true.
You know what? I feel better about myself.
All right, let's move on.
All right, Dave.
Sylvan Messenger. This is actually a reprint that some people didn't know about, but this was originally in
Apocalypse.
Onslaught, or Apocalypse. Jeez.
Apocalypse was that cycle.
So it's 3 colorless green, elf, 2/2 trample. Oh yeah. When it enters the battlefield, reveal the top 4 cards of your library and put all elf cards revealed this way into your hand and the rest on the bottom of your library in any order. So it's basically the green.
It's elf
goblin-
ringleader.
Yeah, the green ringleader.
Like he has the Ricola horn.
I actually don't know. Like, so obviously, in an elf deck, you'd want to play this. I don't know that this is actually better than Collected Company. It's just kind of like the other card we were talking about. Like, Collected Company puts assuming you're playing elves, they're probably going to be 3 casting costs or less for the most part.
Unless there's Sylvan Messenger.
Yeah, right. So I don't know. I think if I'm like designing or if I'm building an elf deck, I'm probably looking at Collected Company before this one.
This also has the most worthless ability ever. Like, I'm a 2/2 trampler.
Yep.
I did
What
it.
you gonna do about it?
I did it.
This was back before they knew how to make green cards, and the rest of the cycle all had abilities, so they had to find something to put on there.
Trample would make 80 cents. Yeah, this card is one of those, like, I feel like it's a trap card. If you're going to play the elf deck, like, I think you're right, Dave. Like, there are better cards to play with the elf deck. This is the one that's like, hey, like, you have to reach this critical mass of elves, and you may still only get like 1 or 2 off of this, and you paid for a really terrible body. Or you could just play, Collected Company. So, yeah, I tend to agree with you on that. All right, one more green card, but probably one of the better, not best because we have Nissa, but Woodland Bellower. 4 colorless green for a creature beast, 6/5. When it enters the battlefield, you may search your library for a non-legendary green creature card with converted mana cost 3 or less, put it into the battlefield, then shuffle your library. So target Deathness Raptor because you can't search for Nissa.
Yep.
Or Reclamation Sage because you need to blow that cool thing up. Or, like, actually, like, the more I worked on this card, like, the more I look at it, it's got a lot of value behind it. Like,
Yeah.
oh, look, Courser? Sure, let's do that.
I like Bear Deer here.
Beer deer? He sounds like one of the vendors at a baseball game. Beer deer. Beer deer?
I mean, that's definitely what this is, right? It's a Bear Deer.
So I think the way the art is actually looking, it's actually a deer riding a bear. You just can't see it.
Oh, yeah. It's hidden.
No one's going to find me up here.
It is a beast, so it could be both, I guess.
I don't know if you noticed the
got a
tail.
weird
It's
tail,
got a
yeah.
lion's tail
Yeah.
as well. So
I don't know.
if you ever watch Full Metal Alchemist, this is some poor guy's daughter. I'm sorry. That probably just made somebody really sad and made myself sad. And I'm really sorry, actually.
Yeah, I think this card is it's interesting. It being like a toolbox card, right? So being able to fetch something, being able to tutor up a creature, even though it is limited on what you can get, can be powerful. And I like it. I think there's a lot of powerful creatures that are at 3 or less in green that you can pull up, and you can really go and take this card and like try to make something of it with Court of Calling being in the format. I think it's pretty interesting. So I like it.
Yeah, this card is I feel like is definitely going to see standard play. It's just too good, and like it's one of those cards. Whenever we see any card that has like search for a specific thing on it, it's always a card to keep in the back of your mind. It's like even if it's not great in the format, it's like anytime they print a green creature.
I mean,
you're like, oh yeah, I got to reevaluate this thing.
That's the Sunform Mystic problem, right? Like
Yeah,
it's already
exactly.
pretty good, and then we
Yeah.
put this Batter Skull thing. It's like, oh wait, maybe this got insane.
Yeah, so I mean, like the body is okay for the cost. Like it's not great. 6/5 for 6 is not great. But when you look at it, like, okay, so say you get a Deathmist Raptor. Okay, so you have 9 power for 6 mana, and you have a Deathmist Raptor that's just going to keep coming back. Like that's pretty good.
So like end of turn, Court of Calling for Woodland Bellower. Search your library for the first gold card we're going to talk about, which is Bounding Crassus. Tap your guy, untap, attack for 9. Game over.
What if you got Savage Knuckleblade? It's a little too wacky.
Sorry, I just got like
No,
I just
I don't
got
think
really
it's too
happy
wacky at
actually.
all.
No, that
That's-
sounds really good actually.
10 power.
This card is excellent. If we can talk about cube real quick, this has to go into your cube. If you have a cube, this goes in. Other than
Except for my cube.
Primeval Titan, this card is your best 6 drop. A list of cards, if I can, that it searches for in case you're not sure. Tarmogoyf, Fauna Shaman, Scavenging Ooze, Courser of Krufix, Eternal Witness, Reclamation
wow.
Sage, Kusali Pride Mage, Loxodon Smiter, Neither Reliquary, Kitchen Finks, Voice of Resurgence, Fleece Mane Lion, Trigon Predator, Edric Spymaster of Trust.
Oh man! Oh, saving the best for last.
Oh,
I, like
I guess
it.
he's a legend. I'm sorry.
Oh
Not him.
man, we just got really excited.
Everybody but him.
He's like you had this whole list of people,
I
and then you're
know.
like, actually, Edric, you can go home. we don't need you.
Never mind. Just yeah.
So to wrap up green here, green definitely you see the elf synergy. It's got some really powerful cards, and once again, some weird engine cards. Like, what are you gonna do with Evolutionary Leap? I don't know, but it's gonna be cool when you do it.
Yep.
So
That's how I feel.
all right, let's move to gold then. We are getting near the end here, guys. We're down to the last 9 cards I think we're gonna talk about. Ish. So let's talk about, so we've alluded to this card a couple of times. Let's talk Shaman of the Pack. Go ahead, Dave. All right, never mind. Shaman of the Pack.
Did we skip over Bounding Crisis?
Oh, I'm sorry. I referenced it, and then I was like, oh, I mentioned it already. I'm sorry. I'll talk about Bounding Crassus then. Sorry. Bounding Crassus. We'll talk about that first. 1 blue-green fish lizard.
Fish Lizard, yes!
Blizzard.
That's like talking to Dairy Queen in August. It's a 3/3 with flash. Very simicky. When Bounding Crassus enters the battlefield, you may tap or untap target creature. Now, the obvious thing that people talk about this card is that it slots into Team or Twin. I'm not sold on that because it can't tap lands and it doesn't fly. But
Yeah, like-
it is something that's interesting to put there. It does have a better body.
Yeah, the way I described it is like, okay, so the two existing best options we have are Deceiver Exarch, which doesn't die to Bolt, and Pestarmite, which it does die to Bolt, but at least it has evasion, so you can beat down with it a little bit. This one doesn't have evasion and dies to Bolt, and doesn't tap the
Yeah, it
lands
doesn't
like you
tap land. I
said.
think it's
So
a
it's
big
like
deal.
I don't think it's good enough for that specific deck.
I will say I don't know how. Like, I feel like this card is close to standard playable. The problem is there's not a deck that plays it. There hasn't been a tempo deck in a while. But like creatures with flash are generally just good, and that tap ability is deceptive.
You might play it in that mono blue deck that was splashing Collective Company.
Okay, that's actually really fair.
But I agree. I feel like this card is so close to being constructed playable.
Again, this might be another one of those cards that you file in the back of your mind, and if that sort of like tempo-y blue-green archetype pops up, this is the card for you because this card does a lot of work, and it said the surprise element of taking out a blocker and then still getting to attack with this creature is something that's really powerful. Like if you ever played Twin, that surprise factor is important, and in Twin, it's not really that much of a surprise. They know you have that card. In Standard, you could probably play it in a couple decks where they don't expect this. So. Definitely a powerful card. Okay, so now we will move on to Shaman of the Pack.
Okay, so Shaman of the Pack is a colorless black green creature elf shaman, 3/2. When it enters the battlefield, target opponent loses life equal to the number of elves you control. So this card, this is basically the payoff card. I feel like if you're playing black green elves in standard, this is like the Fanatic of Bogus for this specific deck. So like this is like the reason, or I guess one of the reasons why you'd want to play this deck.
And I feel like you play Woodland Bellower in that deck, so you can search for more Shamans of the Pack.
Yeah. So I mean, obviously in the elf deck, very good. I mean that deck just wants to swarm you anyway. So I mean you can easily deal 6 or more damage with this. I don't think that's out of the question.
No, that decks like that are swarm decks like that aren't red don't normally get reached like this. Like that's why if you think back to how good Gray Merchant was in those black decks, those black control decks and those mono black decks from a couple of, year ago, it's because they had reach that the decks like that don't normally get. They don't get to do that. Now, obviously, this is another life gain trigger, but this is also scary because it costs 3. You can collect a company and hit 2 of these, and like you can just KO an opponent. Yeah, like Morgan's over here making vomiting faces. Like
Hyper combo finish.
Like I have 3 elves in play right now. End of turn, collect a company, hit 2 of these, drain you for 10. And I don't think I'm being crazy when I say that. Like
Yeah.
I mean, like
not drain, but 10
well,
life
yeah,
loss.
sorry, not you're not gaining life, but it's still like shoot you for 10. A green deck shouldn't shoot people for 10.
That's your main complaint about Siege Rhino, right? Gives those
Cool.
colors reach. Yeah.
Thanks.
More green black reach.
Hey,
I mean-
you could play Siege Rhino in those decks too. So just
I mean,
saying.
absolutely.
It's not
You've
that
got to
hard.
do the work to play elves, and like I said, with Languish running around, there's a lot of ways for that deck to get sort of tripped up. But this is the premier card right now for that deck. All right, let's talk about Thunderclap. Did you have anything to say about that, Morgan? You've been all quiet.
No, it's fine.
All right, cool.
I like that card.
All right, last gold card.
I don't know why this one's on here, so I will have you explain it.
Okay, Thunderclap again. I'm pulling the Chapin here is when I'm looking at this one because he was brewing with this card. Thunderclap Wyvern is blue and a white, or 2 blue and a white. Flash 2/3 flying. Other creatures you control get flying +1/+1. Now the 2 cube guys sitting across the table from me will. Yes.
I think you misspoke there. It's other creatures you control with flying.
I
get
said other
plus
creatures
one.
you control
I thought
with
you
flying.
said get flying. Because that'd be
Pretty
really
sure I
good.
said with.
That'd be really
I'm
good.
sorry if I said get. I'm pretty sure I said with, but I'm sorry. Other creatures with flying get +1/+1. So you guys, was it Celestial Crusader? Is that
Yeah,
the white
the
one?
2/2 split second.
Yes.
Yeah.
That, and I know that card's pretty powerful. This card sort of is in the middle of that and the Spirit Lord we had that saw a fair amount of play. Obviously, Hexproof being a big deal there, but
Yep.
this
Drunk Skull Captain.
yes, but this card is pretty interesting. Like especially if you're playing like a swarm of flyers, like the ability to flash in and just pump a bunch of guys is ridiculous. And again, creatures with flash, we just said with Bounded Crassus, are powerful in and of themselves. So these also, like in multiples, are disgusting. So again, anytime you have a flyer that has flash, when you have like tokens in the format or anything else, like it's worth taking a look at. I know he was putting in a couple of different decks, a couple of different versions of of flyers lists that were pretty interesting. They also work well if you're trying to like play a ton of Thopter tokens. Also, all happen to have flying. So I think it's another card that like again could just be a role player that is pretty powerful. That's why it's in here. How about that?
It's going in my cube, so
I like it.
yeah.
Is it replacing Celestial Crusader? Or is it going with the same
Well, it has to take up a gold
Oh,
slot,
gold
so
slot,
it's
right.
probably I haven't decided yet actually what it's going in over.
Okay.
Probably
So-
not the 0/8 wall though. Sorry, Keller.
Oh. All right, so want to move into artifacts then. Don't have much to say about gold other than the fact that this is the first core set to give an entire section of gold.
Yeah.
We had the dabbling of like Nicol Bolas or the Sliver, but now we had actually a whole cycle, which is pretty cool. I think that was sweet. I mean, like we didn't talk about it, but even things like Possessed Scab is definitely going into Battle Box because that card is sweet and the art on it is actually hilarious. All right, so you want to talk about the first artifact here, Dave?
Sure. We got Hangerback Walker. So this
Sounds like
is
a Gwen Stefani song.
I'm not even gonna
'Cause we ain't
attempt
no
to
hang
sing
back
that.
walker. Because we ain't no. No. All right, continue.
So, so the casting cost on this guy is XX. It's
He's almost a Vin Diesel movie.
he's almost yes. 2/3 of the way there.
You drank too much moonshine.
Yeah. So we have an artifact creature construct, 0/0. When it enters the battlefield, I should say it enters the battlefield with X +1/+1 counters on it. And then when it dies, you put a 1/1 colorless Thopter artifact creature token with flying onto the battlefield for each +1/+1 counter on Hangerback Walker. Also has activated ability of 1 tap, put a +1/+1 counter on it. I think it's hilarious to think about, like, in Affinity, but like sacking a bunch of things to Ravager and then putting it on this.
That's what Carson was talking about. Is like, oh yeah.
I don't know if that's good or if you want to do that, but
I mean, worse you're playing for a 2 for a 1/1 that works out really, really well with
so it's like what's that guy, Doom Traveler?
Yeah, kind of. It plays well with Steel Overseer. It plays really well with Ravager. You can also, as he was putting it, you can also cast it for 0 if you're playing. Like if you want to get, he said, you want to get really risky and you want to play it with the what's the blue one?
Yeah, I know what you're talking about.
Master of Ethereum.
Yeah, like you can get really tricky and play Master of Ethereum, just play it for 0 and see what happens. So
roll them dice.
If anyone's going to break that card, it's going to be Frank Karsten doing it with Affinity. Otherwise, this is an interesting card. Like something that scales like this, especially when we've seen like Thopters may have a role to play in Standard. It'll be interesting to see if this card could literally just do nothing, but it could also be just that kind of thing. Like as a 1-drop, like it's innocuous, but then it gets bigger, and when you kill it, like I mean, Chasm Skulker was a card that almost saw like people were trying to find a way to play it, and this card that guarantees that no matter how many counters, like you might add counters later, but however you play it, you're going to get value out of it unless they exile it. So, at least interesting to see. So, moving on, I put Helm of the Gods on here. This is, I want to say this equipment is pushed, like, because it is 1 mana and it only costs 1 to equip. Equipped creature gets +1/+1 for each enchantment you control. Now, it's awkward. People are always saying, like, oh, it's the enchantment Cranial Plating, except for Cranial Plating counted itself. This one does not. However, like, if it's ever going to see play, it's going to be the next few months when you have a million enchantments to play and Heroic still being a deck. Whereas, like, one of the issues with Heroic is that your creatures can be a little weak, but then if you have this in play, then it's like a free +1/+1, which the deck is always looking for extra damage somehow. So,
see, I just don't see it. Like if you're thinking about Heroic, right? Like you could just play other enchantments that make your guys bigger instead of playing like an awkward artifact.
And what if the creature dies?
I guess.
I'm not disagreeing with you, but again, this is just another one of those cards that it's like, here it is. Find a way to break it quick, otherwise it's not going to matter anymore.
Yeah, like in the other deck that I could think of that would play a lot of enchantments would be like a green-black Devotion type deck. That's like you don't really care about pumping up your guys, making them bigger. It's like you're going to win through grindy games anyway, or like a Starfield of Nyx or something like that. So it's like, I don't really see it. Like, yeah, it seems pushed, but I think they had to actually make it this to make it even considered to be playable.
Makes sense.
But I don't think it's playable. All right, so are we up to the last card now? Oh, last artifact. Okay. Sword of the Animist. This is a 2-mana legendary artifact equipment. Equip 2, and it gives the ability, equipped creature gets +1/+1. Whenever equipped creature attacks, you may search your library for a basic land card, put it onto the battlefield tapped, then shuffle your library. I don't really like this card at all. I don't think it's constructed playable.
I know, Morgan, you've expressed the same thing, and I think I agree.
No, I like this card. I don't like it right now.
Oh, okay. I'm sorry. I thought
but
you were.
Again, if landfall is going to be a thing, like this is free landfall triggers.
But like, you can just play fetch lands. Like you don't need cards to make landfall good.
So I understand that you could just play fetch lands.
Yeah.
I get that, but I mean, like. This card isn't. I don't believe that this card is overcosted, and you don't have to connect with it. Like you get the land just for attacking.
And that's a fair point. I think it was Ben Blyweiss, the guy who does the pricing for Star City, was like really high on this card, and I'm not that high. But you are right. Like you get all the value from it up front, and if you are trying to hit landfall triggers for whatever reason, it's there.
All right. So all right. Go ahead, Keller.
Was Explorer Scope ever played in Standard?
No.
No. Okay. I mean, Explorer Scope had a chance to miss. But
like, all right.
This costs twice as much.
So, so are you just playing this in your deck just to get landfall triggers? Like, is that basically what we're talking about?
I mean, you get advantage. It basically says if you attack, draw a card. The card you draw is always land.
Okay.
Attack, draw a card, put it into play.
Right.
It's value. It is value.
know.
Whether or not it's something that's going to help you win the game, I think is debatable. Like, but it definitely is value, and it definitely, if the format's grindy enough, like, and you're able to do this, then it seems fine. I want to know when Nisa became a Jedi, though. That's a weird retcon for me. Like,
Yeah,
glowy swords.
that is a
Like,
lightsaber.
when did Nisa have a glowy sword?
I don't know.
Right now.
Oh, okay, cool. When she discovered that her father was Emrakul, but he used to be a good Emrakul, but she knows there's still good inside Emrakul.
You're reaching way too much. So.
So was Luke.
Then you know what happened to him.
All right, let's do the lands here and finish this up. So I wanted to mention the Pain lands.
They're back.
They're
Yay.
back. I don't know I don't know why what that really means for us. Maybe we're gonna get laughed out when we don't get fetches and we all cry. But here you are. We have the Pain lands.
I'm gonna
again.
stand behind. We don't get fetches in battle. We get them in the next set.
All right.
Yeah, I'm with Morgan on that one.
I think people are gonna come and blame you guys and stab you for it. So
Wow.
I won't.
Why would they blame me for it?
Because you said
Now he's encouraging it.
Yeah.
I don't know how I feel about that.
kinda.
Thanks, jerk.
Be like, absolutely not.
If you just send me a message on Facebook, I can give you addresses.
Wow.
Wow. All right. Foundry of the Consoles. So you talked a little bit about this from your pre-release
Yeah.
experience, but this is a land tapped to add a colorless. It also has 5 tap sacrifice Foundry of the Consoles. Put 2 1/1 colorless Thopter artifact creature tokens with flying onto the battlefield. That is a mouthful. I don't know. This card's pretty cool, I guess. Like, it's a lot of mana, but if you're playing a control deck that plans on going long, like I could see playing like maybe one or two of these. Like, I think we talked about, like, there are enough good duels in Standard now that like you can afford to play like a couple colorless lands. So if you're in the market for this kind of thing, I mean, it's not unheard of. Like, it's kind of like a Stocking Stones, but you guys have evasion. So
Yeah, I think Haven and Spirit Dragon is what this is going to be fighting for, and Haven's probably more powerful right now. But this card did a lot of work for me in the pre-release. Lands that are also spells are always powerful. Tell me this goes in the cube. I want this in the Tezzeret deck.
Okay, now I'm in.
Yeah,
I didn't be like,
I did
why
it.
would I have this in cube? But now, of course,
Tezzeret needs to make these 5/5s.
Yeah, of
it needs
course.
to happen.
of course.
you mentioned Tezzeret or Lotus Cobra.
I got
Going in.
I got to do the sweet thing with this one where it was like my opponent had the 6/6 renown guy. It was already 12/12, but he had Rogue's Passage, and like I was at 14, but I knew he had a pump spell. He didn't have enough to activate it and pump, so I was like, play this as my 6th land, leave 1 blocker back, go. And he spent his turn killing my blocker so he could get through, and he's like, attack. And I was like, yeah, I'll sack this land and make 2 guys. And he was like, oh, I didn't even notice that was there. And I'm like, yep, block. Woo!
Yep.
So it was like, because he definitely had me dead. Like, I was like, oh, that's a 6/6, and I can't block it to stop it from being a 12/12. Thanks, Rogue's Passage. So, all right, last land, last card, Mage Ring Network. This is a storage land, so it's a colorless one. It's add 1 colorless mana pool, or pay 1, tap it to put a storage counter on it, and then tap it, remove X storage counter from it, add X mana to your mana pool. We've already seen that Crucible of Spirit Dragon was made playable. Back to the Flores deck, and this is the kind of card that allows certain decks that can't all be Nykthos decks to eke out some advantage. If you're in that Drago style, then like having something to do with your mana at the end of the turn is always inherently powerful, and this can allow you to play out one big turn where you get to keep your counter spells up or whatever. So it's worth taking a look of. It's probably not something that's going to be a 4 of in any list, but when your opponent plays that in turn 1 and you can't kill them fast enough, it's probably going to be bad for you.
It's these type of effects have been playable in control versus control mirrors, and wouldn't surprise me if there was a 1 of in a control deck with this in there. It also wouldn't surprise me if this all no play, but
Yeah, I'm pretty much with you on that. Like, I was a little surprised that they actually put this card in the set, but I think there are a lot of other utility lands that would win over this.
there could also be the mono green deck that runs 4 of these. See so we can cast Emrakul a lot faster. But
Yeah, you gotta believe.
You got to find a way to untap it so you can add more charge counters to it. Like,
you untap it. I'll know that the other.
oh
The
man,
Animus.
All right. Let's go to the top 5. We're getting along in the tooth here. I'll let you, Morgan, check the clock here.
Yeah. Who wants to go first?
I'll go first.
All right.
My top 5. I'll start at number 5. I have Erebos' Titan. I have it as number 5 because I do see it having more play than just in a mono black deck. Number 4, I have Evolutionary Leap. When I first read the card, I read it as a bad survival of the fittest, but as I've thought about it more, I've come around on it. Number 3, Exquisite Firecraft. It's kind of a boring counterspell, but it's going to see play
It's a
in
boring counterspell.
Yeah, or
Yeah.
burn spell. Yeah, fine. But I think it's going to see a lot of play. It's pretty obvious. Languish. Sure. I think Nissa's probably better than Languish, so I'm putting Nissa number 1.
All right. Are we doing sleepers at the same time?
Yeah, we could do sleepers at the same time.
All right. So
My sleeper is going to be Priest of the Blood, right? Probably because I like him so much for Cube. But I do see him as a possible sideboard card in a black deck. There's going to be times where you want a 5/5 flyer.
I ruined everything, Keller. You ruined everything.
I do that a lot.
All right, I'll go next.
all right, Dave.
Priest of the Blood, right?
Number 1. All right, so my number 5 card is Exquisite Firecraft. Like you said, it's just really good card. Also, now is when we have the most sets in Standard, and we have the critical mass of burn spells. So around this time last year is when the red-white burn deck kind of came into, and was actually very good in Standard. So I wouldn't be surprised to see that happen again. Number 4, I have Goblin Piledriver. I think this opens the door for the Goblin deck, at least in Standard. I'm not sure about Modern yet, but I feel like there are enough good Goblins in Standard where this could actually be pretty good. I have Woodland Bellower as my number 3. It's just a really good card. I think it's only a matter of time before it breaks out. Go buy them now if you haven't already. That's my advice. I have Nissa Vastwood Seer as my number 2. Best Planeswalker in the set. Really good card. Decks will find a way to play this. And number 1, I just have Languish, which is kind of boring, but I think it's just the best card. So
Cool. Sleeper.
my sleeper, I had Evolutionary Leap, but you can't have it in the top 5 and also have it be a sleeper.
I mean, I think it's actually one of those controversial cards where it can be both.
Yeah,
a lot of people are really down on that card.
Kind of like Dragon Lord of Tarka. I mean, it was a sleeper and also in top 5.
Shut up! It was so obvious. All right, well, we'll stick with Evolutionary Leap as my
All
sleeper.
right, fair enough. All right, Morgan, you want to go?
Yeah, I'll take over from here. So at number 5, I have Woodland Bellower. I'm not going to say something everyone's already said before. Good card, can definitely see play in Standard. Next after that, I have Exquisite Firecraft, just because I feel like burn can be a viable strategy, and that card is just, like we already said, a good rate for a burn spell. Number 3, I have Goblin Piledriver. Just the fact that it's a splashy card, I feel like people are going to, even if the card's not good initially or over time it's not good, I think a lot of people are going to push for that card to want to be good, just because it's so iconic, and I think a lot of people just want that card to be something.
Number 3 thing I want to see on camera this weekend. Goblin Piledriver.
Yeah. Number 2, I have Languish, just because, again, we kind of already said at the end of the Black Cards review that, it's just like, this is Languish. It's a good card. There it is. And then number 1, of course, is Nissa. I think Nissa is just hands down one of the best cards in the format. Again, everything that it does pushes you to winning the game. It gets you lands. It asks you to play lands, and then when it flips over to its Planeswalker side, it draws you cards. It makes a 4/4, or it just kills your opponent when you ultimate it. So I just really enjoy that card. Its only downside is that it may be too fragile in the end, but I want to play that card like 100%, and I don't own any of them right now, which makes me incredibly sad. So
I mean, the set hasn't come out yet, so you're okay.
I mean, right now, but
You can't be like me and own a bunch of Gideons and Jaces.
It broke my heart to see like everyone opening Nissas and me like opening just garbage. So it was very, very sad.
Quite the revelation.
Yeah. Now I think my sleeper is definitely like a real hardcore sleeper, because I don't think it's going to be good for the next 4 months, but maybe after battle it might be fine. But I'm going to go with Sword of the Animist as my sleeper card of the set. So
Sleeping like the Eldrazi.
yeah, exactly.
About to wake up.
Waiting to be woke up. But yeah,
3 planeswalkers.
again, like I don't think Sword is gonna like do anything right now, but I really feel that it is a plant for all the. There has to be landfall. If there's not landfall, then they're just tricking us real hard right now. But I really feel like it sets up well for the potential for landfall in Battle for Zendikar. So
I almost hope there's a different land mechanic. That's
Yeah, or
just
like
as
lands
great
matters.
As landfall was.
Sure.
I don't know how you do that, but
I don't know, but I mean like. Mark Rosewater has been on book saying like he really likes landfall, like they really enjoy landfall there, so I can't imagine them not bringing it back, and especially since like if they like it and we like it, where's the downside? So that's my sleeper.
Nice. All right, so our top fives here, I think for the first time, are actually like aligning a lot.
It's
Yeah,
core
we
set.
actually have the same cards, just in a slightly
So, like,
different order.
So here's my 5 is Archangel of the Tithes. I feel like I might be pushing that card a little too high, but I feel like once it finds its slot, it will be powerful enough that it's just going to be defining. 4 is Exquisite Firecraft. I mean, as everyone's already said, it's a pretty impressive burn spell. It's going to work in a number of different decks. I'm trying to interrupt my list. Go ahead, Dave.
Sorry to interrupt, but I was just gonna say like Archangel of the Tide. It's been so long since it was literally 3 hours ago that we talked about that card. It was the first one, but like that almost feels like one of the cards that's like, if it starts seeing play and it sees a lot of play, we're gonna be like, why didn't we think that card was like good?
Well,
like
number 5.
You heard it here. All right.
Number 3, I have Woodland Bellower. I feel like that card's already good and has the chance to just get better. Like, like we said, every card that gets printed now, you're like, oh, it can do this. So I think that card's going to be very good. Number 2, I have Nisa. Not a surprise here. Again, most powerful planeswalker out of the flip planeswalkers. Probably like the most organic one to flip is what I guess I want to say about that. Like, makes the most sense. So she's going to see a lot of play, I think. And number 1 is Languish. Again, being boring, but I think we're talking about constructed, especially standard playable. That card, I mean, it literally could just its flavor text could be standard players rejoice, and I would agree with it.
Yeah, like there are so many cards in this set that are like all basically format contextual. Like, well, this card could be good under the right circumstances. This card's just
like these weird
it's good.
engines. Yeah,
Like, it's just boom, it's good.
So my sleeper, I went a little bit different with this. Sleepers have normally been like rares and mythics, like that we think. Mine's an uncommon. My sleeper is Swift Reckoning. I think that card's going to be very good in the format and see a lot of play.
If it makes you feel any better, my sleeper was almost Foundry of the Consoles.
Oh, okay, fair enough.
Yeah.
Fair enough. All right. So I'm sorry it wasn't Demonic Pact. I apologize. That card's. I really like that card, but I wasn't brave enough.
I know. I should have picked Thopter Spy Network as my sleeper, but I was too scared.
I think Swift Reckoning, like, I don't know how much. I guess I don't know how much it needs to see play for me to call it a good sleeper. But I think it's an interesting spell that I think it varies the removal we have a little bit. So
Chipotle bet.
Nah.
He's like Morgan automatically gonna lose.
No, sir. I'm kind of happy that our last Chipotle bet really didn't resolve itself. So neither of the cards
there's
that we
still
bet.
time to evolutionary leap that Jeskai Sage.
oh man, please one time.
Yeah.
who
Reality
wins,
shift
though?
Reality shift is never actually going to get play at this point in time.
Evolutionary leap.
No,
No.
Our Jeskai Sage.
Yeah, we
burrito bet.
guaranteed Jeskai Sage would see play before. Like, yeah, it's all bad.
Yeah.
So.
I know that Reality Shift will never actually see standard play, so it's a game I can't win. I just don't want to lose.
It's okay. We all knew that too at the time.
Yeah. Fair enough. Well, if I had been smart, then maybe I wouldn't have said the things I said. All right. So yeah, I mean, that was everyone's top 5 in sleeper ever. Correct.
Oh, we're done. Close
All
it
right. Okay, let's go. All right. I'm
close
just
up the
making
shop.
sure. It's a bit late.
up. Closing time.
So we do have a couple of PPTQs this weekend. On Saturday, the 18th, at Future Gaming or Fog, which is a local store here. There is a Magic Origins sealed PPTQ, which is pretty awesome. And then on Sunday at Bell Book and Comic in Dayton, there is a modern PPTQ, and that's Dayton, Ohio. So please check those out on Facebook. They should be pretty easy to find. They're also on the Wizards website and the PPTQ listings as well, so you can search through there.
I will not be there. I'm barred from entry.
Yeah, that's too bad. There's also going to be Star City Games Chicago over the weekend, which is going to be pretty awesome. It'll be new standard as the format. And then Epic Loot is actually having a benefit tournament for Autism Speaks on Saturday, and that's also another store in the Dayton area. So definitely a lot of Magic to be playing in the Midwest to Ohio region. So hope to see you guys out there this weekend. But that is pretty much everything for this very long Magic Origins Palooza. We appreciate you guys listening, and we'll catch you next week. Have a good one. Bye.